Return to VIDEOTECH.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Return to VIDEOTECH, the show where two dinguses break down the movies we love and share our affection for physical media with you. On this episode, we're packing our bags, sliding into our F you flip-flops, and heading to Harvard to study the somewhat historically inaccurate but incredibly entertaining drama about the creation of Facebook in Aaron Sorkin and David Fincher's The Social Network. We'll also be doubling down on our shared blind buy segment this week and digging into a somewhat overlooked or maybe underseen Stanley Kubrick film, Barry Lyndon. And finally, we'll be bringing you some fall movie recommendations that are not horror-themed. I'm Keith, and with me as always is my friend, co-host, and craft beer connoisseur, Matt. How's it going, dude?
That's right. And I've actually been thinking to myself, is it dinguses or dingai, you think?
You know what? I don't know.
No, it's got to be
I guess
dinguses.
as a dingus, I probably should know the plural form of dingus.
Yeah. Well, we don't sweat the details here at Return to Videotech, and it's not something we plan on starting. Now, you, a passenger on the struggle bus this evening with your sunglasses shining bright. You love to see it.
Yeah, I have my FU sunglasses on as well as my FU flip-flops today. I'm not feeling the best, but we're powering
Yeah.
through it. So,
Your whole wardrobe is kind of FU.
yeah.
I
I'm
did.
following the Zuckerberg look.
I'm more like Sean Parker with the Prada, you know. I I wish I could rock like a hoodie underneath the blazer like he's wearing like towards the end, but I just feel like
Yeah.
I'm just like a sweater. Like I just sweat way too much to go with that many layers.
I see you're wearing your new Glarus Brewing Company hoodie too.
That
That's
is
nice.
true. I just, you know, don't put a ton of thought into my outfits for this show, but like a little bit. And I was wearing this hoodie earlier today, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna wear this on a show because, something about the hoodie. I was like, oh, I'll throw a hoodie on because that's on brand. But then, yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny because when we were at New Glarus Brewery, I feel like everyone who we were collectively with when this hoodie was spotted, everyone was like thinking that's a Matt hoodie. That was definitely, I feel like, said by you and maybe Kayla.
Yeah, the stripes just scream Matt.
Yeah, it looks like a Matt hoodie, and I was like, "Yep, mine." And I love it. It's got these little
I'm
like.
also wearing a brewery hoodie that I got because we love our brewery merch here. I got
That's right.
a one barrel. I got this last weekend actually.
Oh, nice.
We were up in Door County, and that'll be my excuse for why I didn't go to the theater and why I haven't watched too many movies outside of the movies that we watched for this episode. So
Well,
it'll be a quick
beautiful.
intro segment this week.
Yeah, beautiful Door County. Which, hey, listen, this is going to be a fall themed episode as we get into the crisp days of September, and I feel like I've never really done Wisconsin in the fall, but I feel like I would enjoy it.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's very similar to upstate New York.
Yeah, yeah. I did bring one beverage with me for this episode, and it's actually went with. I buy a bunch of Oktoberfest every year, but I've never had this one, and this is Founders Oktoberfest. So I'm gonna go ahead and
Okay.
crack that open. Do you want to share with us all your recent physical media purchases?
Sure, yeah, I'll blast through them real quick. So Barnes& Noble had another 50% off sale, but this time for Arrow, I think they do it every year, like the month after the Criterion sale, they usually do Arrow. So I picked up 3 new releases from them. I got the 2003 remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre
Nice.
and the prequel to it
Yeah.
that came out a couple years later, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning.
Do you have thoughts on the beginning? I think I only ever watched that one time.
I actually wanted to. I only rewatched the remake out of these two. I haven't got the chance to rewatch this one, so it's been quite a while for me too. But I do remember it just being super violent
Yeah.
and gory, and not liking it as much as the remake. But
Yeah.
I just figured, I don't know. I kind of wanted to rewatch it. And I
I'm
think
with
I only
that.
had it on DVD, so
Well, but we are both in the camp of loving that remake, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's his name? Marcus Nispel, I think, is the guy who directed the remake, and he also did the 2009 Friday the 13th remake, which I
Oh,
like a lot actually. I like both
yeah.
of those. I think out of all the like 2000s era horror remakes, those are definitely my two favorites.
Yeah, we'll have to do that Friday the 13th, I feel like, for the show sometime, just because I feel like it's a really fun movie to talk about because it's
Hmm.
structured weird. Like
Yeah.
the tone of it is like sort of weird and ever shifting while you're within it. Like it's
Hmm.
campy at times, but then like also has like this really dark, grim terror
Hmm.
element to it too at times, it feels like.
Yeah, that's a fun one. I like
Yeah.
that one. I might like the Friday the 13th remake more than the Texas Chainsaw.
Well,
Because Texas Chainsaw is like going just for straight serious, you know?
yeah, yeah.
It's not as fun of a watch.
But I do think it's pretty good.
Yeah. So real quick, lastly, the last one I got was Lost in Space. This
Oh,
is
fun.
like the one from 1998, I think, also
Yeah.
starring Gary Oldman as the bad guy.
Yeah, and it's like Joey from
William.
Friends, I think, is in it.
I think William Hurt is the
Yeah.
dad. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't watched this one in a really long time though, but I'm looking forward to watching it again because
I
I
actually
remember
had a
watching it as a kid.
yeah, I had a VHS of it, but I'm kind of with you that I don't really remember it well. It was definitely a VHS that I got that I didn't end up watching much, which probably doesn't speak much for it at the time, but I was a kid and
Hmm.
maybe I just didn't get it, but I did own it and I didn't watch it that many times.
Yeah. I guess what pushed me over the edge though, because I was kind of on the fence because I actually do have the Blu-ray, but
Yeah.
look at the cover, man. For the
Yeah,
people watching on YouTube, the
that
cover is awesome. I love that design.
that is pretty
So,
sweet. Yeah.
yeah.
I'll have to
Well,
I don't know. I probably won't do it this year and if it's is it still going on the Arrow Barnes and Noble sale?
I think there might be one more week left. I'm not sure actually. I have to look it up on the website, but
I'm
yeah.
probably not going to this year, but one of these Arrow sales I have to get involved because they're a label that I have a few things of, and the stuff that I have I like, but I don't really have that much Arrow stuff. You know, all
Yeah.
things said.
Yeah, they have a lot of really good stuff that's like older releases. Like their release of the Warriors is incredible.
Oh
It's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
I have Mallrats, but I just have the Blu-ray. I think they upgraded it to a 4K at some point.
yeah. The Inglorious Bastards one is great too. And you know
Oh
me,
yeah.
Deep Blue. I gotta mention Deep Blue Sea anytime
Oh,
I any
that totally.
opportunity.
Yeah, I do need to get Deep Blue Sea just because
Yeah.
my friendship with you is incomplete until I own that.
Well, anyways, did you go to the theater or pick any cool physical releases up?
Yeah, I'll do theater quickly. Didn't see anything new, but I did, as promised on this show, the big Labor Day weekend re-release 50th anniversary Jaws in the theater. Saw it in the IMAX.
Hmm.
Fairly decently packed with people, but not definitely not full. But really enjoyable experience. I had seen it in the theater before, but the IMAX is always a little bit different experience, even though I think the one at this theater in Pittsburgh kind of gets shit on for being like a lesser version of the IMAX, but
Hmm.
whatever. There's still not many of those theaters out there. And I think probably the thing that stood out the most is I think this is as close to like Rocky Horror Picture Show screening that I can be a part of, even though I
Were
like Rocky
people
Horror
getting
Picture
real
Show.
into it,
Yeah, people were like doing like you could kind of hear people like whispering the lines like
quoting
before
and
people
stuff?
say them.
Yeah.
And there were kind of a lot of laughs, like more laughs in the theater than I think you expect to hear for Jaws. But people just love the characters so much.
Right.
So it was fun. It was, Lindsay could hear me like kind of mouthing the lines like before they'd happen. She'd be like, "Shut up,"
I
and I'm
already
like,
listened to your podcast on it and heard you quote everything from the movie.
"Well, yeah, listen to the podcast and also have hung around me for several years. Every time we've been on a boat or anything nautical themed."
Farewell and adieu.
So that was a cool experience. And then I have a really random, not impressive, not boutique label physical media buy. Sidebar: I did make a Vinegar Syndrome purchase for their Labor Day weekend sale, but it has not arrived yet. So maybe
What
I'll
did you get?
a new leaf and something else that I can't remember the title of right now. So I'll show it off next
Okay.
episode. But
Are they cinematograph releases or?
yes, they
Okay,
are.
I
And
figured.
they were both like, as soon as I read about what they were, they like piqued my interest. No, like no history with either of them, but it was one of those things that you start to see like what it's about and kind of hear the history behind them. You're like, okay, this seems interesting to me. So I'll bring those for the next episode. But I guess there's a little bit of a story for the piece of. I picked up this book called The Life or Life at the Marmont, which is about it's about the Chateau Marmont in Hollywood, where several A-list movie stars have stayed over the years, and there's all sorts of legend to it. But I was interested in it. I didn't really know about the Chateau Marmont until I watched Sofia Coppola's Somewhere,
Oh, I
and
love that movie. It's been a while, but I
yeah,
really liked that one.
I like Somewhere quite a bit as well. I feel like it's kind of underrated in her overall filmography. I'm definitely a Sofia Coppola fan. I don't think all of her movies are hits, but I generally like them all. I mean, or
Mhm.
at least the ones that,
For me, it's Lost in Translation and then Somewhere and then I don't know what else.
yeah.
Whatever else she's done after
I
that.
like Virgin Suicides a lot too.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
I've never seen Marie Antoinette, but always kind of want to watch it. Um, so maybe that will be a blind buy at some point. But I just because I got that book and I started reading it and I was like, man, I really want to watch Somewhere, and I thought I owned it and I didn't. And like I couldn't even find it on Amazon or anything, but I found a copy on like Walmart. So I ordered it and it was like literally delivered the next day. So maybe in the mood, not that we do that segment anymore. Some somehow I'm gonna work somewhere into the show at some point here because I want to watch it again after I finish reading this book about the Chateau Marmont. So,
Okay,
but that's
nice.
it. Not a lot else. I still haven't seen uh, Zach Krieger's movie Weapons,
Weapons? No.
which that's definitely like the one that's nagging me right now. Like the fact that I haven't seen it, but I do feel like
Mhm.
there's more and more stuff coming out. I feel like this is going to end up being a pretty good year.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else is supposed to come out. Oh, One Battle After Another.
Yeah,
I'm pretty hyped for. I don't know when exactly that comes out, but um, yeah, we're PTA fans here, so
yeah,
I think
it's
we're
this
both
month.
excited for that.
And I saw that he released something, that it's going to be available in several different formats. Some
Yeah,
only in like New York and LA, but
the
whether
70 millimeter.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, IMAX.
Hmm.
So I probably won't be making it to New York or LA for the most exclusive ones, but
Yeah.
I'll see it on whatever the best one I can see it on in Pittsburgh. That's for sure.
I was bummed when you were talking about seeing Jaws. There was some sort of re-release of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the theaters too
Oh,
that
that's
same
fun.
week. It
Oh,
was only
really?
for a few days, and I really wanted to go, but I wasn't able to. But-
It's That is still something that's a favorite of mine. Getting to do like the classic movie night anytime they like re-release like a great classic movie in the theater. I enjoy it. I love doing it so much. That's a great hobby.
Mhm.
And I was the theater we were at though was being renovated, which kind of made me happy too. Like it's the one that I've talked about on the show where it's like one of the nicer ones in town, but it's kind of like lights are off in certain sections and
Mhm.
they've kind of been letting it go downhill, but they're actually renovating it, building like putting a new bar in it, building um, luxury apartments or whatever nearby. So I'm like, all right, maybe they're making it a little scene again. The theater is back.
We're here for it.
Yeah. All
Well,
right,
should we move on to our fall movie recommendations?
let's do it.
Okay, Matt, you're drinking your Oktoberfest beer. We got our hoodies on. The fall vibes are in the air. You had the idea for this episode to forgo homework and come up with some fall recommendations for movies that are not horror. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Well, look, spooky season has its time and its place, and you may be more of a horror person than me, but I'm still pretty into it. I mean, I'm not a dues paying member. I'm not a club member for some of these horror boutique labels or anything, but I am into it. I'm into horror movies. It will have a time and its place, but I love the full fall experience. And there's a bunch of movies that it's hard to determine what a fall movie is because for me, it doesn't have to be something that actually takes place in fall. Like, there's ones that just kind of make me feel that crispness in the air. Like,
Hmm.
Social Network to me, the reason I want to do it now is because I think Social Network is a fall movie, and maybe it's just because of the establishing shots in the beginning of the movie where they're walking through the Harvard campus,
Oh,
and
I
it
totally
feels,
agree.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. It just reminds me of. I mean, I
Hmm.
do think it starts in October, so it is fall, but like
Yeah.
it just reminds me of back to school, the weather changing, and like, listen, there's no part of me that misses going to school, but I like there was something about that time of the year and the feeling of change, and I
Hmm.
still love it. Coffee never tastes better than in the fall.
Hmm.
You get all the best outfits you get to wear in the fall
Yeah.
comfortably. Certainly, for many of us, football being the best sport and best sport to watch collectively with people. It's just the best time of the year, and it's more than just horror. The horror element of is great too, and spooky season and Halloween. But I did, and I actually even struggled to narrow this list down because some of these I'm like, is this a stretch? Is this actually a quote fall movie? But it's like, who gives a shit? It's anything that makes me feel like fall,
Right.
and
Yeah. I
um,
felt like I might be reaching a little bit with my picks, but
nah.
we'll find
Everything
out.
everything you sent me, I think fits. Well, I'm gonna go first. In my first movie, actually, Lindsay was like, "That's not a fall movie." She's like, "It's specifically an end of summer movie." Now, I think she got that from me because I kind of make us watch this movie like every Labor Day weekend, and it really is an end of summer movie. But it's the best way to start fall. I'll say it like that. Like,
Hmm.
yes, it maybe it's end of summer, but that's fall now. Like, what's after the end of summer? So the pick, of course, I'm sure everyone's figuring it out, and it's my steelbook copy, your hated steelbook uh, copy of Stand by Me, and the Rob Reiner movie based off a Stephen King short story, which I might not have this exactly right, but I'm pretty sure it's was part of a Stephen King like collection of short stories, and I think that collection had the stories that inspired Stand by Me, The Shawshank Redemption, and the Mist were all part of that. And I think there were only four. I think it was three of the four got made into like movies, with at least two being
Those are
pretty
all
big.
good
Although,
ones too.
yeah, I mean, I like The Mist too. I mean, in terms of
Hmm.
overall bleak endings
Yeah.
of all time, The Mist is
That's probably one of my there was a period of time in my life where I rewatched that movie all the time. That was like a bedtime movie for me, and that's kind of messed up for like how dark it is. I'd usually pass out before, the ending of the movie, which is one of the most bleak endings to any movie ever. But
definitely. So a real pick me up. But of course, we're not talking about The Mist on this episode. We're talking about Stand by Me. Um, and I love this movie. It was a movie that sort of uh, eluded me as a kid, and I definitely got more into as an adult. Of course, River Phoenix in it, which him being in anything is just sort of tragic. Losing him at a young age, a young Jerry O'Connell, Corey Feldman, just a staple of you know movies with young kid characters from this era. Young Kiefer Sutherland playing a bully. It's a heavy movie, like a lot of Stephen King material is, but oh, and by the way, Keith, our physical representation of Return to Videotech collectively, Richard Dreyfuss, in the movie as well.
okay.
But the most noteworthy thing about Stand by Me is I don't know if there's a movie that tugs at my heartstrings more, or I should say specifically, a scene from a movie that like gets me choked up more than the end of Stand by Me when Richard Dreyfuss is doing the voiceover what happens to everybody and he talks about what happens to Chris, which is the River Phoenix character. I mean, Lindsay and I haven't watched this year, but we pretty much do every year, and by the end of it, we're both just openly weeping.
It's been
It's
quite a few years since I've watched Stand by Me, I think, but yeah, the
it's a scene.
ending gets a little sappy.
Oh well, yeah, but I think Very well executed. I mean, sappy to me is almost like downplaying how good it is. So, yeah, that Stand By Me. I'd love to do it for the show someday because it's just an all time great. I feel like Rob Reiner is not really a director whose name I throw around as somebody I love. Although a lot of people had Harry Met Sally when Harry Met Sally is like a big fall movie. I've this is just a movie I haven't spent a lot of time with, but like I like The Princess Bride. I love Stand By Me. I love Misery. So he has like movies that I like, but then I feel like some of his movies feel like fluff too. So
Mhm.
not a director that I swear by, but I do love. I love me some Stand By Me.
Nice. I'm due for a rewatch of that. Should I go ahead with my first one?
Yes, please.
All right. So the only one that I had time to rewatch, and I don't know if this this might be a stretch saying this is a fall movie, but it does kind of take place like in the Appalachian Mountains when
Oh,
you see the changing of the color of the leaves and stuff throughout. And so my pick was, or one of my picks was The Last of the Mohicans.
hell yeah.
Um, just a awesome dad bro movie. I feel like this falls into that
Absolutely.
category.
Yeah, I think so. And what's his face? The great
Michael
actor.
Mann,
No, no, no.
the
Michael Mann
director.
directed it, but who's
Yeah,
the lead in
Daniel
it again?
Day-Lewis.
Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis, of course, who's
Uh,
making his triumphant return to acting. And um,
mhm.
I don't know why I blanked on that. I was literally just watching Phantom Thread again last night for like the millionth time.
We just talked about that. I don't know. I
Yeah,
guess it was a while ago, but
that's like my comfort movie to fall
yeah.
asleep to. And I'm probably going to bring up PTA again specifically later in the episode because the whole thing with Barry Lyndon had me thinking about something, and I just wanted to dig into it a little bit later in the show. But Last of the Mohicans, listen, I definitely think this works. This fits the category. I feel like if you're out in the woods and it's kind of
Mhm.
chilly and it's not a horror movie, that fits.
Yeah. And they are like out in the wilderness a lot. And I think I mentioned it in that episode where we were talking about Phantom Thread. Like there's some story and I think it's true that Daniel Day-Lewis like spent a month or two living in the wilderness, like just
Yeah.
camping to get into character to play this guy.
Well, he is
Um,
very hardcore, that's for sure.
yeah. I will say on this rewatch, I think I only rated it like 3.5 stars. I guess it's just because like every time I watch this movie, it kind of just makes me want to watch one of my other picks, which we'll get to in a minute here.
Okay.
But the story is just like very simple, and it kind of, I don't know. I feel like the ending is kind of just like a dud. Like it crescendos, and like,
Yeah,
um, one thing I think I put in my review is like the score is incredible, but they reuse the same track over and over and over and over
gotcha.
again. Um, not like a major complaint, but I kind of was sick of that track by the end of the movie because they keep just playing it over and over again, even in like scenes where it doesn't really fit. It's this very
Yeah.
like epic score.
I think
Um,
that's kind of how Braveheart is too. If
yeah, yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah,
Braveheart plays that same little like ditty piece of music like over and over that it seems really catchy, but by the end it kind of feels
yeah,
overplayed a little bit.
yeah.
Um, well,
Um,
it's been a little while since I've watched Last of the Mohicans, but I do like it. I kind of know what you understand though, where it feels like short of greatness. Like it
hmm.
feels like it stopped short of being great. But I
Yeah,
always did love that ending sequence, even though it's definitely very melodramatic. Like it
yeah.
becomes, but like just that's like I found it to be a unique way to do a climactic fight scene is to have it be like this slow build where guys are like arriving at different times.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And it seems like they're always running too. And I will
Yeah,
say Daniel Day-Lewis looks cool as hell running with a rifle in his arms. You get like a million shots of that of him just like running through the woods and like jumping over trees and stuff and like it looks really cool and it's reminiscent of I'll just say that one of my other picks is The Patriot, but I'll let
yeah.
you go with your next one before we dig into that. But
Well, you're right though. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis, like you don't think of him as action hero, but he is like this might be an epic and like historical fiction, but I mean he is an action hero in this movie, and it totally works for me.
yeah. I would say it's not like my favorite performance of his, but
Yeah, Well,
Daniel
come on.
Day-Lewis does not give a bad performance. It's
No.
just like
Yeah.
one of my least favorites of his, I would
Yeah,
say.
I mean, look, that's his bar is so high. I mean, there will be
Yeah.
blood. It's just like
Yeah.
I drink your milkshake.
Milkshake.
I drink it up. Doing that like John
Yeah.
Huston voice or whatever. But yeah, Last of
Yeah.
the Mohicans, nice pick. Does qualify as a fall movie, and I need to revisit it because it's been several years for me, I should say.
Okay,
Would you like
cool.
me to move on to my second pick since you're already trying to spoil your future ones?
Yep, go for it.
You do have a very dad bro-y list. I actually not known for bringing dad bro movies. I think my next pick, I mean, it's a high school movie, but I feel like dad bros of a certain age, can get into this. Like when they were a bro before they graduated to being a dad, if they were a bro in the 80s, this was a movie for them. And then they became dads and it stuck with them and they had to go back and watch it because they were like, this could have been my life. I could have been working at the mill. Um, a movie that unfortunately does not seem to be well liked, but this is another one that Lindsay and I really watch like every fall too. I just have some crappy bones Blu-ray of it, but of course everyone can tell that I'm talking about Tom Cruise in All the Right Moves, with a young Leah Thompson. Coach is in it. Craig T. Nelson, of course, the dad from Poltergeist, and Chris Penn is in it as well. And it's kind of like the weirdest sports movie ever because they're not really that good. It's not about the team. It's not really about football. Tom Cruise is this kid that's trying to get out of this town that's actually based on like Pittsburgh area high schools, but like back in the old grimy Pittsburgh area. I think it was filmed heavily on location in Johnstown, and the name of the school is Ampipe, or the town is Ampipe, which there's an Am Bridge, and like for real, that's just down the road from me a bit, but Ampipe, it's like supposed to be American pipe, and it's like a steel factory, and it's basically like if you don't make it out of this town, you're gonna work at the mill. And Tom Cruise is trying to get a college football scholarship, and he gets into it with his coach, and he gets thrown off the team, and they have a whole little battle with each other, and it seems like maybe he's going to be stuck working at the mill, and we're trying to find out if he can get into Cal Polytech to play football or not. And I don't know. It is obviously not a beloved movie because I think it's like a 2.8 or something on Letterboxd, and I'm like, hell no, this is like a 4-star movie for me. And Lindsay loves it too. Of course, her dad was a high school football coach in the Pittsburgh area, so this is straight out of life for her. She would like if Lindsay hadn't made it as a biomechanical engineer, she definitely would have ended up working in the mill for the rest of her life. So like she totally relates to All the Right Moves, and this is undeniably a fall movie. Heavy
Sweet.
recommend.
When you mentioned that, I don't know if I ever have heard of that movie, so I'll have to add it to my list.
It's I mean, the most famous thing about like Leah Thompson has like a sex scene in it, and that was like always, it's the '80s, and she was a young star. I will say it's definitely weird because her and Tom Cruise, they're playing high schoolers. They both seem very young. She almost didn't take the role because she didn't want to do nudity, but Tom Cruise like said he would do nudity too. So she was like, "Okay, I guess I'll do it if Tom Cruise is doing it." And
Is it like an awkward sex scene? Because I know some people kind of made
yeah,
fun of the sex scene from Top Gun Maverick
yeah,
about that being like kind of awkward. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, it's mostly awkward because you're just like, okay, these are like high school. They're the high school age people. Obviously, like the actors are older, but it's just like in retrospect, you look back and you're like, well, that's kind of weird.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's certainly for that type of stuff. I would prefer Risky Business. I think that you should turn to that, which that may like be its own category. I feel like anything with a Tangerine Dream score kind of feels like a fall movie. Like
Mhm.
if it's in the '80s and there's synthesizers, like Michael, you brought up Michael Mann. Like I could say Thief is a fall movie just because like the feel of it reminds me of like a chill
Mhm.
in the air.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I can get
so
behind that.
yeah, all the right moves for me. Your second pick for fall recommendations,
All right.
Keith with the sunglasses.
Uh, I'll go with the one that I teased already, and that would be what I think is a dad bro classic,
Definitely.
the Patriot from the year 2000, directed by Roland Emmerich, who I think had a pretty good career up until shortly after this. Like he did Independence Day, and I don't know what else did he do. I'm struggling to remember now, but
Yeah, he's a guy that I recognize his name, but I don't really know his filmography. He's not the guy that went on to do like those disaster movies, right?
yeah,
Like
he is. He did like The
like
Day After
2012.
Tomorrow and 2012. It's
Yeah,
actually
okay.
funny too. We watched 2012. Chris, my wife's dad, loves those disaster
Oh
movies,
yeah.
and he like fell asleep on the couch while we were on vacation watching 2012. And it had been a really long time since I'd seen that movie, and the special effects in that movie overall are just terrible.
That's
um,
amazing. Well, dude,
but
when
the
Lindsay
Patriot is not terrible. I love the
Oh,
Patriot.
yeah. I just got to tell you, talking about disaster movies, because I had this thought when we were out in Yellowstone. Did you know that Yellowstone is like an active volcano? Like Yellowstone Park, like when you're
Like
in
a,
it in parts, you're like in the top of an active volcano. Like there's roads and trees and streams,
Mhm.
but there's like an active volcano underneath, and it's gone
Uh-huh.
off like every 700,000 years or something. And
Yeah, were you
like,
guys just there?
yeah, that was my horrible flight story.
Yeah.
But like this is I don't follow stuff. Like I don't know what's going on ever. So I like did not know that until I knew it before we went out there, but Lindsay literally learned it when we were out there, and I was like, oh, you didn't I was like, I just learned about it like 3 months ago, but I figured you knew and I didn't want to bring up how stupid I was, so I just didn't bring it up. But I was like, why isn't that the start of a disaster movie? That's
Yeah, I mean,
like maybe we should cut this out because we should just write that movie.
I I'm sure you've seen Dante's Peak. You wouldn't think that you could make a good movie out of a volcano erupting, but I actually really like that movie, Dante's Peak.
I actually have never seen Dante's Peak, and I want to and need to.
Okay, maybe I'll assign that to you for homework
Yeah.
next episode because I bought like a double pack of that and something else,
All
Daylight, I
right. Very
think.
good.
But anyways, we're
The Patriot.
we're just bouncing all over the place here. We're going to talk about the Patriot. Again, probably a little bit of a stretch, but I feel like a good portion of the movie takes place like around the Appalachian Mountains areas.
Yeah. I again,
Um,
people are in the woods. To me, that's fall.
uh-huh, yep. Some really awesome action sequences, like the one where Mel Gibson's character, shortly after like the bad guy kills one of his sons, he goes to like rescue his other son, who's played by Heath Ledger, who he gives
Yeah,
a pretty good performance in this too.
definitely.
Um, but that action sequence is very similar to a similar rescue sequence in The Last of the Mohicans.
True.
So it's like that's part of the reason why I said when I watched Last of the Mohicans, it just makes me want to watch this because there's like some similar action sequences and
Yeah.
similar vibe overall. It's like I
Who is
guess
that?
this one ultimately ends up just being like a big epic revenge tale.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
anybody who's listening to this probably has seen The Patriot. If you
I would
haven't,
think.
you probably should just get on it.
Yeah, it was a huge movie. I mean, look, Mel Gibson became like a divisive, controversial character, but like, I mean, these big epics, he was like so classic in, especially during a certain time period, and I, I love. Is it Jason Isaacs? Is that the guy that plays the villain? He's like
Yeah,
Lucius
he's a
Malfoy.
really good bad guy
Oh,
too.
so good. I think he's so like hateable as the villain in this. Like you just, I mean, have you ever
Yeah.
wanted revenge as
He's such
bad?
a huge asshole. Yeah, there's like a scene like before I think it's like right before, right after he kills one of Mel Gibson's sons. He like, I guess like back in the day, normally like if you lost a battle, you could
Hmm.
give your wounded to the enemy's surgeons or whatever, and they would stitch him up or whatever. And he like tells all of his soldiers to just kill their wounded. He's like
Yeah.
a huge
Oh,
asshole. And he's like killing kids and
yeah. He's so hateable. But I mean, the part at the end was like, It appears you were not the better man. My sons
Mhm.
were better men.
It is a it is a very satisfying ending
Yeah.
too, because it's like this big, huge battle, and at one point in the movie, Mel Gibson's character says something to him. They bump into each other a couple different times, and there's some fun scenes, like the one where they're like trying to trade prisoners or something, and they fill
Yeah.
up a bunch of dummies, and like that scene's hilarious. But yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that. Yeah, like the end is just really satisfying because of how they bump into each other, and it's like a huge epic battle, and then Mel Gibson says something to him. He's like, before this war is over, I'm gonna kill you or something," and then
Yeah.
it happens at the end, and
That's
it's
right.
awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
He called a shot. It was like
yeah,
Babe Ruth.
yeah,
Yep. Well, we can always count on you to bring the dad bro basic cable classics to the show. And,
yeah,
we all appreciate you for it, Keith.
yeah. I'm here for that and for all of
So
you.
thank you. Yes. And for my last pick for fall movies, I'm going completely the other direction from like huge epic to small scale IFC films, indie kind of slice of life, dramedy, but more just like kind of examinations on human and relationships, which I used to watch these types of movies all the time from like I don't know, probably like 2008 to like 2014. And then at some point, I kind of grew out of it a little bit. But I always have such an appreciation for the indie scene and those mumblecore type movies and just people like Mark Duplass is in the movie I'm going to describe. And he was one of those people that, just made movies for super cheap. And it was a lot of like improv, dialogue driven, like looking at people and relationships. And the one that I brought today is called Your Sister's Sister, which stars, like I said, Mark Duplass, Emily Blunt, and Rosemary DeWitt, like two women that I had like mega crushes on. Um, that I mean, Emily Blunt, I think is like one of the great actresses of the current era. Rosemary DeWitt, like in a bunch of indie stuff, and I've always kind of dug her takes filmed on location, Keith, in the San Juan Islands. So
Oh,
I
nice.
where you and I spent a family vacation together, and now I don't know if this movie. I don't know what time of the year this movie takes place in, but I mean, I think you would agree with me that part of the country it just seems like it's fall year round. Like it
Mhm.
just seems like it's always fall there, and
Mhm.
a lot of the establishing shots look like that. They're out in the woods. They're wearing flannels. I mean, it was very much evoking memories of our own trip out to that region. It was directed by Lynn Shelton, who unfortunately passed away in 2020, not of COVID. I was aware of it because I was listening to Mark Maron's podcast at the time, and he was dating her, and it was really sad. She directed indie films, but she also directed TV. She directed episodes of Mad Men, Glow. She directed Mark Maron's like comedy specials. Um, and was just really talented and I liked her and she made these kind of movies that just looked at relationships and again this was of the kind of Mark Duplass style where there was a script but a lot of the dialogue is improv and it feels very natural. It's a 3.5 star movie for me. The ending is a little weird, which I think was kind of one of Lynn Shelton's thing too, but I'm an older person now, more comfortable with myself and just being an aging loser. But there was a time, Keith, where I was like a very disillusioned person, trying to find my way in the world and navigating relationships. And that type of material really spoke to me during that time. And I can still have an appreciation as an older person looking back on it.
Mhm.
So there you
Okay.
go. That's my last pick. Your sister's sister.
All right. My last pick, surprisingly, is not another dad bro movie.
Hmm.
But it is a movie that I feel like some people are embarrassed to say that they enjoy still now. I think you might have said something along those lines. But
Yeah.
my last pick is Garden State, the Zach Braff, Natalie Portman kind of like quirky drama rom com. I guess you would say it's more of a drama than
Yeah.
quirky comedy, I guess.
Definitely.
But this was like a big one for me around that time. I don't know. I mean, part of it probably is like how good the soundtrack is alone.
Absolutely.
Like, soundtrack is just incredible. There's like a bunch of songs from the Shins and
Yeah.
Coldplay, and that 07 song is really cool.
Oh yeah, in the
Um,
waiting line.
yeah. I actually still have I have like 4 CDs in my car, and the soundtrack to Garden State is one of the four.
Oh, I know, it's
um,
so good. I think they
yeah.
did like a live show like not that long ago where
Oh,
they
really?
had the like I don't know if they had all of them, but the people were playing songs from the movie like live, and Zach Braff and Natalie Portman were there.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, listen, I also had a huge place in my life with this movie. You're holding up a DVD of it. I had a DVD of it.
Hmm.
I don't know if I have a Blu-ray of it currently, but I do feel shame for being a fan because it's been probably one of the most shit on movies for like the last 15 years. Like,
Hmm.
but I think often unfairly, I I get the parts of it that people really trash. Like the thing that it took the most heat for is the idea of like the manic pixie dream girl, which is like
That's
this idea that
mhm.
you know the Natalie Portman character only exists to like make this guy happy. Like there's just nothing
Yeah.
else. And I do get it, but I think that you can kind of defend some of that. Whether or not you, I mean, if you just want to be against it, that's fine. But like if you think about it from the perspective of if it's coming from the perspective of the Zach Braff character, like who is this broken person, and he's just like
Mhm.
searching for something in the world. He's overlooking whatever the other quality. Like he is just looking for someone to pull him out of this funk. Whether that's right or wrong, I do think that that is something that exists.
Yeah.
Now, maybe they don't
I,
portray that as bad in the movie, but I guess you could. I think one of the other positive things you can say about the movie is like I mean, it was talking openly about mental illness, like which is something that literally movies would go on to get more and more into. And I'm not saying it was the first one to do it, but it was definitely less of a thing at that time. And
yeah.
now, I mean, movies talk about. I mean, the culture in general talks about mental illness like nonstop at this point.
Yeah. Every movie now is about trauma and whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So I just I don't know. I'm not sitting here saying like Garden State's the best movie of all time, but it's definitely well crafted. It resonated with a certain culture at a certain time, and to me, that's always worth something. So
Yeah.
I will always defend that movie.
Yeah.
I don't I. It's kind of like um, how I'm a Patriots fan, but like when they were winning all of those years, I just would not tell
Yeah.
people I was a fan because I didn't want to invite people to talk shit. That's the way I feel about Garden State. Like I like it, but I'm not going to really bring it up to people.
Yeah. I mean, all the stupid controversy aside, which I mean, I just think it's kind of dumb for people to get upset about the Manic Pixie Dream Girl thing. It's
Yeah.
like it's similar to how I feel about people being upset about chasing Amy now too.
Oh, I
It's
know.
like what you said, like at least it was like making or at least putting this stuff in a movie where like I feel like one of the complaints people have about Chasing Amy is like the portrayal of like um, homosexual relationships or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the time, like that stuff was barely even in movies, and at least it was like representing them in some way. You know, I guess that I don't know. We don't gotta dive too
No,
deep into that, but
I'm with you, but like you know those things just strike a chord with people, and it's okay. I mean, it's okay that it strikes a chord with people, and they're like, "F this, I'm not into it." But I think it's also okay to be like, "Look, I think I respect and value your opinion on that, but I do like this movie and think that there's good parts of it too." I
yeah,
mean, like
yeah.
both
I
things can be
mean,
true, and it's okay.
one of the things that I wrote down, I did write a couple notes for this, but like one of the things that I really like about the movie is how it kind of like captures this feeling where it's kind of like a niche thing or something that not a lot of people maybe have experienced, but I think we both kind of have experienced the feeling of like you go through high school, you have like all these friends and stuff. You move away for a couple years, and then if you come back, it's kind of weird coming back to your hometown
Yeah,
and seeing how your friends have changed, or like realizing how you've changed and stuff. And I think that was the part of the movie that I really liked because I don't think I watched this movie until after I moved to Madison,
yeah,
and then taking trips back home. It was like there were similar things in my life where you like go to a party and like people are just doing weird, crazy stuff. You know, it's like,
Yeah. The one thing that was always the same to me, though, Keith, is when you came back and me and you could just watch movies.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, look, and then it like evolves into like, I mean, our hometown specifically, like we have know very few people there at this point, so it's almost like going to a
Mhm.
place where you don't know anyone at all anymore, which is even weirder.
Yeah, that's a big part of Zach Braff's character too. I think is
Yeah.
like when he goes home, he doesn't really feel like it's home anymore. And not that I've felt that exactly, but I've felt it feels weird when I go home sometimes now.
Yeah, well,
Sure,
I
but
always tell Lindsay I don't have a home, and she calls me emo. But it's
but
more
that's
just
a
because,
line from the movie or something close to it, right?
well, yeah, I guess he talks about like, yeah, like the house I grew up in doesn't feel like home anymore or something like that. But I specifically
Uh-huh.
mean more like a place, not like my parents' home or something, but like I grew up in New York, but then I lived in Massachusetts for a while, then I was back in New York, then I was in Pittsburgh. My parents live in Charlotte. Like it's just like none of the places feel like going home to me.
Yeah,
If I can say that and not have it be emo.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, look, I think one of the things that people look back on that movie too is like, it just has this sad feeling to it. But look, it was a sad part era in the culture. I mean, there's a reason why emo music was so popular and resonated with youth at that time. I mean, in the '90s, there was a lot of anger and aggression in media and in the culture, and like pushing the envelope was happening like all the time, and then 9/11 happens as this big catastrophic event, and I think that permeated in the culture, and there was a lot of sadness in art for the years that followed that, and it really resonated with the youth at the time, and I think that's something that was going on. I think Garden State is smack dab in the middle of that, but I do have to say, relating back to the fall thing, the second that Caring is Creepy hits by the Shins, I mean, that is like peak fall feeling for me. That is a
yeah.
fall jam.
Yeah, like I said, I think I might be stretching a little bit, but I do feel like one of my favorite scenes. And this is kind of cringy and a little embarrassing to say, but like I really like the scene where they're like yelling and it's like raining and they're yelling into the
Yeah.
quarry or whatever. It's like it's supposed to be like
Yeah.
this big emotional moment in the movie, and yeah, it hit me back then, but now maybe not as much. But I don't know, something about them wearing the ponchos and it's raining. It feels very fall-ish to me, that scene at least. And
I think so too.
yeah,
I think this fits. I don't think you have to. I don't think it's a stretch
yeah.
even. I think Garden State fits.
Yeah. All right. Well, yep. We don't need to ramble on any more about it, but if nothing else, it's worth watching for the soundtrack, I would say.
Yeah, look, and we might not ever. Maybe we went a little bit further on it than on most things in this segment, but we might not ever do it again for the show. And it is one of those ones that, like, look, people that hate on it, I totally get, but I'll always kind of be on the side of defending it a little bit because I think that the good qualities of it bear some discussion, and I just think it's like a little short sighted to just toss it as like unmitigated trash. I don't
Yeah.
think that's fair to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, does that do it for our fall vibe movies
Sure
recommendation
does.
segment? All right. Let's move on. All right, Matt. You better lawyer up, buddy, because it's time to talk about The Social Network. Take it away.
I can distinctly remember being in a theater and seeing a teaser trailer for The Social Network, set to a choral rendition of Creep by Radiohead, and thinking to myself, yuck, a Facebook movie. Who would want to watch this? Having literally no idea of the backstory captured in the 2009 book, The Accidental Billionaires. As the release got closer and I began to understand that David Fincher was at the helm and Aaron Sorkin on the pen, my interest began to quickly trend upwards towards becoming one of my most anticipated movies in a year that included Inception, Toy Story 3, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, The Fighter, Blue Valentine, the Coen Brothers version of True Grit, and Black Swan. It would prove to not only be one of my favorites of the year, but maybe of all time. Jesse Eisenberg was well known to me as an avid Adventureland fan, but the rest of the cast, not so much. He was, of course, playing Mark Zuckerberg, someone who literally changed internet culture and one of the people that has shaped the current generation. Though, as someone who has never sweat the details of current events, I didn't know that then. I was aware of Rooney Mara, seeing her in Youth in Revolt and the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street, but this would see her take that first real step towards stardom. Andrew Garfield and Armie Hammer were completely new to me, but they did flash in their appearances. Now, most gentlemen my age probably would have scoffed at Justin Timberlake in the cast, but I was actually buying his acting stock big time in this era. After seeing him in a pair of '06 efforts, Alpha Dog and Black Snake Moan, and not to mention the off-land basted but Keith defended Southland Tales. We'd also get an early Dakota Johnson appearance, making it hard to deny the launching pad effect this movie would have for a generation of performers. The movie's seminal importance would not end there, as Fincher enlisted Nine Inch Nails frontman Trent Reznor and his collaborator Atticus Ross to compose the score, which would feature a particularly recognizable main theme and would result in the two being key composers in the industry for the next decade plus. I find this movie to be as entertaining as it is thought provoking. The interpersonal drama with impossibly high stakes is enough to carry the story, but the weight of what this would all mean for maybe the rest of our lives is what really stays with you. It's not just that, though. I also find the experience exhilarating and inspiring in almost a sports movie type of way. While you may not want to set out to accomplish anything remotely close to the people in this story, it does sort of give you a just go start something of your own jolt of energy. The Social Network is many things. Part Revenge of the Nerds, pitting the super smart, privileged outcasts against the tall, athletic, crew rowing jocks, also with privilege. But beneath the surface, it's really looking at what drives us all as humans in the modern era. And while exclusivity can feel so pursuable, however unnoble it may be, you may find yourself left with little more than isolation when you get it. So, yes, Keith, as the Justin Timberlake version of Sean Parker says, we lived in farms, then we lived in cities, and now Return to Videotech will live on the internet. All right, Keith. So, Social Network, huge movie for me. It really had an impact on me the first time I saw it in the theater. Definitely was like polling for it in all through award season that year. Even though like 2010 for me personally was such a huge year. Those movies that I listed off, like I loved The Fighter, I loved Black Swan. Obviously, Inception was just like so life altering at the time. But I think The Social Network, above all else, stands apart for me. It's a movie that I still love and I kind of take more out of, and it's just wild. Looking back, I mean, the movie takes place in the year 2003 when this stuff started to happen, and it's just kind of crazy. You know, you and me, just a couple of kids. You know, you riding a skateboard, me playing guitar, drinking Keystone Lights out of the back of a Dodge Neon. These guys walking around Harvard would literally. I mean, these are like the new version of the men who made America. you know,
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. But the way that it's like kind of portrayed in this movie is that it's kind of like an accident or based off of like, oh, I did this because I was trying to impress a girl. That's like kind of implied in the movie, or I did it because I wanted to be part of a club that wasn't like acknowledging me.
Hmm.
Um, and it becomes this thing that is literally like defining the generation that we're currently in and continues to evolve. I mean, like you always say, two dinguses like us, like getting on and doing a show, it really is an evolution from what started with this whole people living on social media.
Yeah, for me, I'm pretty sure I saw this in the theater. I honestly don't remember 100% if I did or not, but um, yeah, I was just super impressed at like how like sucked in you can get into a movie like this where it is just a lot of dialogue. It's like people on their computers writing code, and Fincher just has this way of like making something that sounds super boring, like the start of a software company, like the most interesting thing. And like a lot of it I'm sure is also Sorkin's writing and the script, and
Yeah.
um we were talking a little bit before we started recording about like the pacing of this.
It's
It's super
crazy.
interesting, like how fast everybody talks in this movie, and just like a fun little fact about it. I guess they used a stopwatch to like time out how fast the actors were supposed to read the script, and yeah, that opening scene, legendarily
Yeah,
99 takes.
wild. I know. And I don't know the full story as to why it's 99. I'm sure. I mean, obviously it's hard, right? They're going super quick. They're trying to get the pace right. But I also would believe, and like this is not well researched by me, so if this is obvious and out there, fine, whatever. But just conversationally between you and me, I would believe that there's like a Kubrickian element to this too, who famously like would kind of wear down the actors to try to like get them almost frustrated, but like I think that you get to a level of kind of natural emotion that comes out at a certain point, and it's not an affront. And I think that maybe there's an element of that here too. But it is
I
like,
think that's just I think Fincher is known for that
yeah,
now at this point. Like there's stories I think it's Jake Gyllenhaal came out after doing Zodiac just saying that doing that movie broke him just because Fincher is just known for doing like maybe not 100 takes for like the important scenes, but a lot of takes, and like you
yeah,
said, pushing the actors to the limit of where they're actually frustrated, but somehow that makes their performance shine better.
yeah. Well, I mean, for Kubrick on The Shining, I mean, you hear a lot of like what he did to the Shelley Duvall in those scenes where she was like almost broken down, but she like appreciates it. I mean, I'm sure it was like horrible in the moment, but I think she appreciates what was pulled out of her. Like she's happy with the performance, even though it was like kind of
Hmm.
terrible to go through the experience of it. And it's probably not that harsh, but I think there's probably a version of that in this, and it's crazy, and that is like the Aaron Sorkin script of it all too. I mean, for those of you who aren't like super familiar with his work, it is like this. I mean, it's The West Wing, more so than The West Wing for me. I liked a smaller show that he did earlier in his career called Sports Night, which I was a really big fan of. I think it only lasted 2 seasons, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. He did go on to make another TV show on HBO that was about television as well. But this is how the Aaron Sorkin dialogue is. It's like very quick back and forth. There's a lot of like wordplay in it. People getting hung up on what something means, and then it's like tying it back to where the conversation first started. There's like a formula to it, but it's impressive. I mean,
Hmm.
and I'm I'm a fan of his work overall. I mean, maybe you could pick at it and be like, yeah, maybe it is a little formulaic, and that might make you scoff at it a little bit. But look, I find it impressive, and I think the execution of it by the performers is always something to take in. It's always a ride. So the way I'm going to go through this. It's a movie where a story about Mark Zuckerberg being sued by two different parties that we'll get into. There's a lot of deposition scenes. I'm not going to stop and talk about the deposition scenes. There's funny things in them. It's mostly Mark being a kind of smart ass dick in those scenes, and he's got some funny lines in them. But I'm mostly just going to go through the actual storyline plot elements um, that kind of led to the lawsuits. One thing I do want to point out, I've never read the book. I think out of the people involved, the guy really mostly talked to Eduardo Saverin, and that this script was adapted from that book, and to me that is very clear. I mean, doesn't this feel like a
Yeah,
movie from Eduardo's perspective? Like he definitely seems like the most sympathetic out of all the crews
yeah.
that you're following.
Yeah, I mean, when we get to it, we'll get to it. But even the fact of like they changed, this is like a fun fact. They changed the amount of stock, the percentage that his
Yeah.
was diluted down to. Like in the movie, I think they say like 0.003% or something, but
Yeah.
he actually still has like 5% or something, or he did at the time,
Okay.
5 or 10%. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. It's very sympathetic to him, and they make Zuckerberg out to be the absolute worst.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I feel like it didn't when I first watched this movie, and like the few other times I've watched this movie, I didn't hate Zuck as much as I do now, and it's kind of interesting too. Another thing to, or another lens to look at the movie through is like now they're working on a sequel. Actually, I don't know if you knew
Yeah,
about that,
I do.
but all the stuff that's happened since this movie, like all the stuff of like the data breaches and like whatever that like I don't know what you call that.
Yeah,
Taking people's data without letting them know, all that
right.
stuff that Zuckerberg went through in real life. He seems like more of a villain now than maybe he did back then. So I feel like the movie might be a little harsh on him for the
Yeah.
time,
I
but
look, I mean, I think it's a complicated topic. I mean, he's pushed a lot of stuff forward. Listen, I'm not like sitting here defending anything, but I just feel like I love this movie. But the movie is like historical fiction. It's taking
yeah,
real people with a real thing that happened, and then kind of very loosey goosey with the facts, the in between the lines of it all, and a lot of it comes from one person's perspective, and that person is the person who got screwed over the most. So
yeah,
I like you cannot take this movie as fact, and but the things that I love about this movie don't have to necessarily do with the real facts, and more about
yeah,
what all it stands for. And like I said, it's multifaceted for me because I think it's entertaining on its own. I At one point in time, Zach had told me something, and I tried to just look it up. I couldn't find it, but I didn't spend a ton of time. But I think like that he had told me that David Fincher had said somewhere that he makes films and he makes movies, and he said Social Network is a movie, which
yeah,
I'm surprised by. I kind of get why, but like to me, like the depth of this is, and I guess it's one of those things that like keeps giving the further into
yeah,
time we get. you know,
yeah.
like it's
I
this.
mean, liberties were taken with the truth of a lot of this stuff, but
Yeah,
it is for the benefit of the movie. The movie is super duper entertaining, and yeah, it's just impressive that they were able to make a movie about this interesting.
but the other part of it that I hit on in the intro that I'm curious. I don't know if you really feel this way at all, but like, and it's less so for me now. But I remember like walking out of the theater, and like even my early days of watching this, it kind of would get me like fired up. Like I'm like, wow, I cannot believe these guys like did this like so easily. Now these guys are super smart. They're obviously like had all the benefits in the world going to like Harvard. But it just kind of makes it has that feeling of like you could just go start something.
Yeah, I could see that.
And it always makes me
Kind of
feel
like
that
us
way.
starting this podcast.
Yeah, I would definitely say like high volume video is on a trajectory similar to the Facebook. You need I don't know what our exclusive like I guess we're exclusive in the sense that nobody wants to be a part of our group. Um,
People want to be a part of our group.
no, definitely. Okay, so I'll get into it a little bit, but I just there was some main points that I wanted to hit on the movie. So yeah, you started into it. The opening scene. I mean, it's I don't know this little guitar riff to open, and they're like the back and forth dialogue is going lightning fast right away. It's Jesse Eisenberg and Rooney Mara playing Mark Zuckerberg and Erica Albright, who I think is a made up name character for the movie. Maybe not. I again, I don't know. They some of the stuff they took like the blog stuff that's a part of it. I do know. I remember being on the record that they took some stuff straight from that blog because when people were saying, "Oh, this is made up," they're like, "Well, we did take some of that stuff straight from the blog or whatever." But I don't know. So maybe Eric Albert was a real person. That part's not real.
I don't think she was. And in my minimal amount of research, I found that Zuckerberg was already dating in 2003. Was already
Yeah.
dating. I can't remember the name of his wife now, but they're married now.
Yeah.
So
I know that's what has always been said. So yeah, okay, good.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's made up.
Mhm.
So I was right the first time. Didn't need to dance around it. But yeah, they're just going back and forth, and this is like the first instance of him kind of being a self-obsessed prick, and he's kind of holier than thou with her because she goes to Boston University or whatever, and he goes to Harvard. And it's just, yeah, like he
Yeah.
does come off as so out of touch with like, I mean, just being in a relationship with, and I'm like, as a lifelong Rooney Mara fan, I'm like, get out of that bar. Like,
Yeah.
this guy stinks. Like, who cares if he's going to be a billionaire? Do you really want to be around somebody that would
Yeah.
talk to you like this? Now,
Yeah. He's the one of the most unlikable characters. On this rewatch, I really hated him. I was like, this
yeah,
guy really does suck. There's almost no redeeming factors about him because he is like this throughout the whole movie, actually. Like, even to Eduardo, he's constantly
yeah,
giving Eduardo shit for like getting tapped to join some club that he's just like hyper jealous and like
yes,
very insecure and yeah, like one of the best lines from that opening scene is Rooney Mara says like dating you is like dating a stairmaster, and it's like as you watch the movie you're like, yeah, that's what it would be like dating or even just being friends with this
yeah.
guy. He
She
sucks.
says it's exhausting, and the scene is exhausting. Like this conversation is exhausting.
Hmm.
Now, if you want to defend him, it seems like he's not aware that the things that he's doing and saying. I mean, maybe you should say, maybe you would say, well, he should be, but it's like he doesn't really seem that skilled at interacting with people. And again, I just want to emphasize we're talking about the character in the movie, not the real
Yeah,
life Mark Zuckerberg. Okay. Like
yeah,
everything I'm
yeah. I
going to talk
think
about is the characters of this movie, not the real life people.
yeah, a lot of people that work for Facebook, I think, came out after this movie and said like publicly like he's not a bad guy
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. Like he's
And
not.
right. And I believe that. It's just like, because we would not know from this. And again, like it's a story that's mostly told from the perspective of someone who got screwed over. So
Yeah.
I like it's, of course it's gonna look this way. But for the movie, just seems like a rough guy to deal with. But he's not, he does seem like there's some good intentions there, and he doesn't necessarily mean to be being a dick to her. I do think that you're supposed to take it that way. Like he like doesn't really understand that he's being a dick.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, you get the sense that he's just trying to be a cool guy. Like, even all the stuff with Eduardo, where it's like he's just jealous that Eduardo gets tapped to join these clubs that he and like even with the Winklevosses, like he wants to, he wishes he could row crew and stuff like that. So it's
yeah.
like I feel like he's like trying to compensate for that or something, and like
Yeah. And I
yeah,
would say
he
that's
just doesn't.
clear in the first quarter of the movie. He's like he wants to be accepted by these people.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
but I think the key is everyone that does accept him, he's kind of eventually a dick to, which we're seeing like the end of that with Erica.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um I'm a little bit surprised that they break up in the scene because it does seem like they have like a chemistry and a dynamic, exhausting as it may be. I mean, if I
Hmm.
found a girl that could go this quick back and forth with me, well, first of all, I wouldn't be able to keep up, but I'd be like, well, we should probably stay together. This is cool. Who can talk like this? But yes, ultimately she breaks up with him, which sends him out of the bar. We get an exterior shot of the bar. It's called the Thirsty Scholar. There's a shot of it. Lindsay and I, the last time we were in Boston, did scoot over to Cambridge, where Harvard is. Lindsay, of course, wanted to go walk the campus of Harvard because of its historical significance. Me, Keith, I wanted to go so I could get my picture in front of this bar because of this movie.
Did you guys go in for a drink or no?
No, we didn't. We
Oh.
didn't. I didn't know. They'd probably be like, I was wearing like a New England Patriots hat. They probably would have been like, get out of here, loser. They would have been like, where's your Ivy League jacket or whatever. Um, no, we didn't. We were just kind of walking around, but it was cool. I mean, it's walking around those old classic campuses is pretty cool. Even like Cornell, like by where we grew up. Me and Lindsay walked around Cornell like over COVID when there was no one there, and it was like pretty sweet. But yeah, most of our like if Lindsay's planning a vacation, we're probably going somewhere with some sort of historical significance or like just somewhere that she would think is cool. If I'm planning the vacation, I'm just going somewhere where I'm trying to get a picture where a movie was shot. That's
Yeah.
that's the dynamic. That's how our vacations are chosen.
Well, so you could plan your next trip to be to Madison, and we could go walk around historic UW campus and get your picture taken on East Washington, where there's a scene from another Zach Braff movie, The Last Kiss.
That's right. Yes, we could do that. I mean, I'm pretty sure I have done that, but yeah.
This is my pitch to Lindsay if you're listening.
Yeah. Well, we do want to get back out to Madison. I love me some Madison. I think you know that. And I love me some Keith too.
No.
And even more so, some Christine because she leaves gifts for Lindsay and I in the guest bedroom. Actually, you did too. It was pretty nice. I got like a Ewoks DVD, and we got some like bread, and I think that maybe some
No, it
cheese.
was a VHS. It was a
Yeah,
VHS.
sorry. Yes, I was gifted a Ewoks VHS, but yeah, Christine left some like Wisconsin bread for us back there. I mean, it was a. I was like, wow, that and this is like what it's like to be a rich person, where you just are getting gift bags all the time.
We treat our guests well.
Absolutely, yeah. So we will be back to Madison, but we have the opening kind of establishing shots of the movie of him walking around the campus, heading back to his dorm, and this is the part that I'm like, yes, this is fall. Like, I just want to be like listening to Death Cab for Cutie on my earbuds, walking around by myself in a hoodie with a little chill in the air. Um, that's what these sequences are reminding me of. We have the little theme that I mentioned in the intro, that dun dun dun, that like
I,
yeah,
this might be one of my favorite scores to any movie. Like
oh
the
yeah,
Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross. They did this right.
yep,
Yeah.
and that yes, that little like piece of music is so like it's catchy, but it sits
It's
on
like
you too.
calming to me. Like
Yeah,
I could I don't own the soundtrack, but I could see myself like listening to that to go to sleep or something.
yeah, but it always ends with the boom, like this foreboding,
Hmm.
sound at the end of it, and you're like, it's there's like this darkness to the score, and I understand why. I think it's like kind of the coldness of the idea of where this is all heading, like just
Hmm.
um enough with human interaction. We can just be online and interact with each other that way. Um,
Hmm.
So he gets to the dorm, which I always think. Look, I know it's Harvard. It's like one of the oldest colleges. Obviously, like super wealthy people go there. But I was like, these dorms are cool. Like
Yeah. Dude,
I've
one of the cool things about this, or one of the things that I just really like about the beginning, all the stuff at Harvard is like, it makes me like, not really nostalgic, but it's like, because I went to college, but I didn't go to like a big university like this or
yeah
something. It not nostalgia, but it makes me wish that I would have had that experience. Because, like you said, like the dorms just look so cool. Like, I don't know, just, yeah, just walking around there seems like it'd be really nice. I don't know.
no absolutely yeah something tells me Harvard wasn't really interested in you and me.
We weren't getting accepted there, but
No, we weren't. We just weren't rubbing shoulders with the right people, Keith.
yeah, we didn't know the Winklevosses.
So
We were the
the
Dinklevosses.
what the movie proposes is that Mark basically, out of anger after a couple of beverages, uh, decides to simultaneously blog and create this tool called Face Mash, which allows it takes pictures of different Harvard students and compares them together, and you say whether you like the one on the right or the left. Now, it's horrible, but I think it's fair to say that like I not a surprise that college kids would get into this. I mean,
Yeah,
you could see this taking off at a college kid party. I mean, present
yeah,
company not excluded. Embarrassing as it may be, I think everyone can admit they probably would have done something like this in that at that time in your life where you do embarrassing, shameful things. But
well, this is one of those things that actually is true, or it's based in truth.
yeah,
He did actually create a site like this, and it did get shut down by the college, and he was put on academic probation.
yeah. But it gets him some attention, probably mostly bad. In fact, one of the little hilarious asides about all this is when Eduardo, who we meet in this sequence, is like, "Why is it that everything you do gets girls to hate us?" or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, we meet Eduardo in one of the cool little moments where he's building Face Mash. Eduardo played by Andrew Garfield, who I did not know until this movie. Um, Probably if I could look like any person, I would be like, could I look like Andrew Garfield in this movie? I mean, just tall, thin, hair for days, and clothes fit him really well. Just something to aspire to. But whether Mark says, "Hey, I need the algorithm that he used for something before," and Eduardo writes it in white marker on the window, and I don't know what it is about this, but I just like it. I like this moment. There's something very raw, building something from scratch about him writing that algorithm on the window. By the way, we now live in a time where the word algorithm is thrown out like constantly. Like people are
Mm-hmm.
always talking about the algorithm on social media. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
oh the algorithm pushed it to me. It's like I gotta tell you, pre-social network, algorithm was not getting a lot of mainstream use.
Yeah, I feel like now people might not even, or some people might not even know what it's referring to, which actually is like this equation
I
basically
know.
that yeah.
People now just think of it as like the engine that pushes different reels to you on Instagram.
Yeah.
Which I like. I get why people do that because like there's an algorithm at play in the formula that's dictating this
Mhm.
stuff. But it's like it like algorithm in common usage. It's just this funny thing now that I don't know
Yeah.
like how we got here, but um,
It is funny though that that's what it's turned into because I remember the days when Instagram and Facebook was like in its infancy, you would just see posts as they were like in chronological order.
right.
So
That's right.
you would never like miss stuff. And yeah, the algorithm does kind of piss me off now because I I miss a lot of stuff that like you'll post something or something and I'll miss it because it just doesn't give it to me when, when you post it.
Well, you know whose user interface for social media I like am not a fan of like the full product. I'm definitely a fan of what they do. So if they're listening, which they should be, Letterboxed. Let me let me
Oh.
let me tell you a couple three things. A, actually, let me do it this way. One, I love Letterboxed. Two, I'm a patron, their highest level of subscription. Three, I plan on being on Letterboxd indefinitely and am just a fan of what they do. Okay, getting that out of the way. They got to do something about like the fact that you're one of my best friends and we're connected on there, but like it feels like an effort for me to go figure out what you're doing on there.
Yeah.
Like I don't
I've
like
figured
that
out
part
that
of it.
I literally will just filter out everything except for like reviews people write because you can have it set up to where you see every time somebody likes somebody else's review and like they are good about giving you the option to like
Okay.
filter a lot of stuff like that out, but
And it may be that I just haven't set up my algorithm. No, maybe like there's more configurations that I can mess with to get this to be the way I want it to be. But I just want to, like, I want to know what's going on with Keith,
yeah.
and I feel like it's an effort for me to do that. Like, I feel like I'm clicking on something of mine that I know you like to go find your profile, or going to individually type in your name, and then like
Hmm.
that's how I get to your profile. Like, I'm not just like it just doesn't feel as smooth to me as it could be.
Yeah.
So, Letterbox, we're very sure that you're interested in sponsoring the show. So let's talk, and no more criticisms from us, we promise. But in the meantime, if you can make it so that like Keith is more prominently featured on my profile page, uh, I would be very interested in that. So all the while of this face match stuff going on, there's a juxtaposition with shots of the cool kids going to parties,
Hmm.
you know, which I mean, look, you and me, I don't think ever invited to a party like this in our life, nor will we ever be. But we did
Well, it
okay.
is cool though, like how they cut back and forth. Yeah, I feel like it's just kind of like showing the two different sides of what going to like a big school like this would be like, going to
A
Harvard. Like,
big school with rich people of privilege. I mean, because that's what this is. I mean, and I'm not like
Yeah.
trashing on it, but we got to call it what it is, right? I mean, like most normal people don't have either of these experiences. They're not
Yeah.
the super smart kids that are like going to be building the future companies of America, and they're also not like the super wealthy jock bros that are like, you know, in these private club
Yeah.
fraternity thing type things that have
Hmm.
like catered like spot or whatever, like sponsored bartenders and stuff at their events. Like,
Hmm.
um,
Getting
just
busloads of girls dropped off.
yeah, certainly not a relatable party experience for yours truly. As you pointed out, Face Mash does crash Harvard's network that night, and this gets the attention of the Winklevoss twins and their partner Divya Narendra, who have been working on what's later called Match.com for Harvard, but their website idea, Harvard Connection, and they look up Mark, bring him in to talk about it. He expresses initial interest, but the hook is you have to have a harvard.edu email. So this is where the nugget comes from of the idea of exclusivity, which really is what kind of launches the whole Facebook model. And this is what the movie implies is where the original idea for what actually caused probably the most success for Facebook comes from, which is that idea of, hey, you can only access it if you're a student, if you're an active student at Harvard. I assume
Hmm.
active. I don't know, maybe the harvard.edu thing lasts beyond graduation, but you were a Harvard student at one time or you're an active one.
Hmm.
Um, so Mark does go off to start building their website. At the same time, pitches the idea of quote the Facebook to Eduardo. Now we've heard the word Facebook in this movie because there's different houses at Harvard and they have quote Facebook pages where it's just pictures of people in the house. I had never heard of something like that. I did not know where the word Facebook came from. Um,
Hmm.
but it seems like it was a thing and he just took that name from that and was like, oh, well, the idea is just the Facebook and it'll be a social media platform, but you have to be a Harvard student to be on it. And this is even more so hitting on the fact that the story is from the Eduardo perspective because anything could have happened in real life in terms of conversations of, oh, did we take the idea from the Winklevoss twins or whatever? Like none of that has ever gotten into from the perspective of the movie. Eduardo doesn't know that Mark
Yeah.
got that nugget from them.
Yeah, and who knows how accurate that is. That didn't come up in any of my research, but
Totally.
I did
Totally.
want to say something about the exclusivity thing though, because I remember when I first heard about Facebook, you did still need like a .edu, but it obviously wasn't, the Ivy League schools. By the time I
Yeah.
had found out about it, it was you still needed a .edu, I think, but it wasn't exclusive to those. But anyways,
Yeah.
it's funny that they talk about this a lot, like throughout the movie, like when they're trying to decide if they should put advertising in or whatever. But they're constantly being like, oh, this is a cool thing because it's exclusive. And it's just funny because now it's decidedly not exclusive or cool. Facebook is like the worst social media platform in my
Yeah.
opinion.
No, I know. Well, but that's the thing. I mean, look, they had a brilliant thing that caught on and it worked. I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I like when I first became aware of it, I was told about it by a girl who was going to a school that had it, and I certainly was not allowed on it. And there was a little the people that were allowed on always threw a little shade to the people that weren't. So it was
Yeah,
like,
they're like,
all
oh, you
right,
don't have Facebook? Oh, you're
and
still
it's
on
like,
MySpace? What a
yeah,
loser.
yeah. Well, listen, you should be going to my MySpace page and checking out the song that's playing on it right now because I bet you it's pretty cool. Um, so he gets Eduardo to put up the initial cash investment. We know that Eduardo has some money. He comes from money, but it's introduced in the beginning of the movie that he made $300,000 over one summer betting on futures for the oil industry or whatever because he could predict the weather. That's what's said. Uh, Interestingly enough, like between Dark Knight Rises, this, all of a sudden we're talking about like betting on futures and puts on certain markets. It's like this is stuff that I like never understood at all for and you're like, wow, this stuff gets mentioned in like a lot of movies. Like investing in the market and the different ways to do it. So Eduardo, you know, obviously has I think most of the people in this world are pretty wealthy, and $300,000 is not a lot to them. But I mean, can you imagine being a sophomore in college, you know, 19, 20 years old, and you have $300,000?
Yeah, it'd be hard to go to class for a little while.
Yeah, I think like I mean Chad could get me to skip class to go to the casino just because it was a Tuesday. I mean, I can't imagine having $300,000 what we'd get up to. But Eduardo's going to put up the initial cash investment which is only $1,000 initially. It becomes more, and he has to kind of keep pumping money into it. But ultimately, I think from the movie's perspective, they say it's initially 1,000, and later it's maybe as much as like 14,000 or something total because he's got to run the servers or whatever. Showcasing how much I actually know about the technical side of this, which is zero. But like, he does put up more money over time and basically like keeps it running. So Mark is building this thing off of their idea and just starts ghosting them. And it's actually like kind of hilarious when they're like reading his email responses and reacting to them.
In the depositions, yeah.
Yeah, but even like in the sequences when like real time, they'll be like, I can't meet because my parents are in town, and it's like the story keeps changing,
Yeah.
and like, the faces that they're making like so clearly being blown off.
Uh-huh.
But they're pretty chill about it. The Divya dude finds out about Facebook launching because he's with his girlfriend and she's on it. I remember this scene like from the trailer, and when he runs to find the Winklevoss twins who are practicing rowing because they're big and jacked and they're always rowing crew. Of course,
Yeah, he
played
like
by
falls out of his chair.
yeah, well, yeah. But the part like when he actually shows up when they're practicing rowing, they're like, "Hold on, we're in the middle of a rowing training session or whatever," and he's like, "Oh, okay. I guess you don't care that Mark Zuckerberg stole our website. Mark Zuckerberg, he stole our website." From the trailer and everything. But yeah, I guess I should point out that the Winklevoss twins, played by Armie Hammer, obviously some film techniques going on here to play two characters in the movie, twin brothers, and Armie
Pre-sinners.
Hammer. What's that?
Yeah.
Like Sinner?
Pre-sinners.
Yeah,
Yeah. They do
it's
the
a very,
same
very,
thing.
very sinners.
It's very impressive CGI for the time.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I don't notice anything as far as I'm concerned. These Armie Hammer has a twin, and those two people are playing the Winklevi. That, as far as I'm concerned, that's the case because I can't tell at all that that's not the case. And this obviously pisses them all off, and we kind of spend a little side quest of them trying to figure out like what they're gonna do. This like loser douche stole our idea, and part of this movie is like how these people are all acting like adults, but they're not really yet. But then this very adult thing happens to them, like these guys are like, well, we're going to call our dad's lawyer, and then we're going to go talk to the president of Harvard, who just completely blows them off and is an absolute dick, and I love it.
Yeah, I love that scene and how pissed off they get. One of them gets so mad that he like yanks the door handle off when he slams the door.
Yeah. Well, it's an old building. It's a lot of old buildings around there. Yeah, a lot of it in the movie is like the book was Accidental Billionaires, right? Like it's kind of proposing this idea that this thing that started as like kind of a joke, like face mash, like, and then this idea from these other people kind of spins into this other thing that becomes this global phenomenon that literally like changes everything because social media exists existed before this, but this was the event that kind of pushed the idea of living on the internet to even greater heights that we've never come back down from. Um,
Yeah.
and it all kind of spun from these people like we see it in the Eduardo character. These people like really had no idea what they were doing in terms of like starting a business, but they had a great idea and it took off and became this thing and there was blowback from it. And that's kind of like the surface level of the movie. Um, so the Winklevoss twins, one of them, I'm not sure which one. It's Cam, and I don't know if you wrote this down. I can't remember the other one's name, but one of them is sort of reluctant to. The two want to sue, and the other one's like, "No, we're not going to sue. It's not what gentlemen of Harvard would do." So they're just trying to find ways to settle the score with Mark, but they're not really actively pursuing a lawsuit at this point of the story. They end up Eduardo and Mark end up at like a Bill Gates, I don't know, discussion. He's there speaking at some event at Harvard. Just the type of events that are happening there. Bill Gates just casually there, while some of the students apparently don't even know that it's him. Which that
You know,
part
that's
is
an
funny.
impersonator.
What's that?
It wasn't actually Bill Gates, even though it looks and sounds exactly
Oh
like
yeah,
him.
yeah.
He was played by an impersonator.
Right. But it
fun
is
fact.
supposed to really be Bill Gates that was
Yeah.
in the
Uh-huh.
story. Like Bill Gates was at Harvard speaking or whatever, and they introduced the Christie character played by Brenda Song, who Facebook is rapidly spreading, and people are starting to notice who Mark and Eduardo are, and Christie says, "Facebook me," which becomes common speak for send me a Facebook invite or message me on Facebook, and an indicator that this thing is taking off. And basically, the Eduardo character starts dating Christy, but kind of the takeaway for me out of this is Eduardo and Mark end up meeting her and her friend at a bar, and they're all hooking up in the men's bathroom, which is something that happens, Keith, in movies, but I got to tell you, the reality of this cannot be that great.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room in those little stalls.
Also, not a great scene in a lot of bar bathrooms.
Yeah, a lot of weird smells.
Yeah, I just can't imagine it's. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it happens a lot, but
a lot.
yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't know about that sort of thing, but it just doesn't feel I don't know, like the most romantic place in the world. But look, they're young, they're wild, they're having some fun. And after outside the bathroom, this is one of the parts where I think the movie is trying to say, look, there is more to Mark. He's not just a prick. And he sees Erica, and obviously he still is carrying some feelings and feels some remorse, and he wants to have a conversation with her, and he goes up to the table that she's at, and she is dismissive, and rightfully so, because he was an ass and he wrote about her on the internet and wrote not nice things. So, I mean, she's completely in the right, but he's trying to talk to her, and like it's just so mortifying, embarrassing, because like one of her friends is like, "Erica, is everything okay?" And it's like,
Yeah.
like like, do you ever want to be that dude? Like,
No.
yeah,
It's like
cannot
absolute
imagine.
worst situation. Very
Yeah.
embarrassing. She does have a pretty cool line in this quick conversation they have though. She says something along the lines of like, "The internet is written in ink," which is kind of interesting. I mean, I just feel like a lot of things have happened now where people have said things that maybe they regret. Like even people like James Gunn, remember he like got fired for saying
Yeah.
some bad stuff, and I feel like at the time that was like not something people were really thinking about, but it was cool that I don't know. I just like that line.
No, it's true. Although, like, when you think about it, it's like it is sometimes. Like, things also do disappear from the internet, though, too.
Yeah.
Like, if you were part of a website, like if you posted some material or content or something on a website that no longer exists, I mean, it is gone.
That's true.
You know,
Yeah.
like, so I most of the time, yeah, it is written in ink, but I mean, things do go away too.
That's true. I mean, I guess maybe it only applies to like stuff like Twitter or Facebook or something.
No,
But
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
listen, I'm not discrediting the line. I just think it bears discussion that it's like, yeah, um, it is true. I mean, it's mostly permanent, but things do go away too.
Yeah. Fair. Fair argument.
So we're probably halfway through the movie at this point. Facebook is taking off. Excitement amongst Mark and Eduardo. They're starting to feel like rock stars around campus a little bit. We only get a little bit of that, but there's a buzz in the air. And we cut to the way they do it in the movie is I think Eduardo's supposed to be like from the San Francisco area or whatever, and he wants to expand to Stanford. I guess I should point out after Mark has the like beat down of a scene with Erica, he's like, we have to expand because the movie is like basically saying everything that fuels Mark is the Erica character.
Yeah.
Like he wants to expand now and get like he wants to basically get to these other schools so that she's like, oh, that was Mark that started. But it's like what he's not realizing is like she's never gonna go back because you were an ass. Like it doesn't matter how famous and popular you get. Like that's one of the points.
Yeah.
Like people chase fame and exclusivity, and you can get all of these things. I mean, it may not work out for everybody, but like it does work out for people. But like if you're an ass and you're mean to people, those people don't take you back just because you're now
Yeah.
rich or powerful or beloved. Like
Yeah.
it
Well,
like
some people, like the two girls that they end up dating for a little
sure,
while,
you're right.
they're just like groupies, but he ultimately doesn't care about that relationship, and Eduardo doesn't really even care about his relationship with the other girl either, or not, at least
Eventually.
not.
Yeah.
It, it eventually comes crashing down, I
Yeah.
guess,
He
but
does at least like try to date her.
yeah.
But so Eduardo is like, well, we got to expand to Stanford. It's time for them to find out about this in Palo Alto, another beautiful part of the country. And it cuts to us meeting Sean Parker, played by Justin Timberlake. Sean Parker famously started Napster. And you get that whole backstory in this. And even in the intro scene to him, he kind of talks about like he kind of has this rock star vibe to him, which I think like having him played by Justin Timberlake was like a good idea. I know, I'm pretty sure Timberlake had to like read for this part and everything. I think he's great in it. I generally think Justin Timberlake is a good actor. I think it's been a rough stretch lately, but this like 2006 to 2010 era, I mean, I brought it up. I like him in Alpha Dog. I like him in Black Snake Moan. I know you like what was it that I brought up? Southland Tales more than I do, but I like
You know,
him.
you say that, and I don't. I don't. Have we ever talked about that? I don't know if I've actually even seen that movie.
Yeah, you have.
Okay,
Let's
it
check
must have
your
been a while
letterbox.
ago. I'm not remember. Is that the one with The Rock in it?
Yeah,
I think maybe
and
I have. Yeah.
yeah, we gotta do a quick look at your letterboxed for it because I
It must have
swear.
been a while ago.
Um,
I have a terrible memory. So.
yeah, don't worry, I'll remember your life for you. No, I mean, look, maybe I'm making it up. Maybe you've never logged this. I'm frantically trying to. I have too many friends on Letterboxd. That is not a brag, by the way, because they're not real friends. I don't know. Maybe you know what? I'm not seeing your name on this, so maybe I'm completely making this up that you like Southland Tales.
It's fine.
Uh,
We don't have to
well,
keep talking about it.
okay. Let me go on the record, people, and tell you that Keith not a fan of Southland Tales, or just has no opinion on it really. No,
Yeah, I'm neutral. I don't think I've seen the movie yet.
never. You've never seen it?
If I have watched it, I don't remember.
Okay. Do you? I thought you had a copy of it.
I don't.
Okay. All right. Listen.
It's
Strike it
another
all from
Keith.
the record. Hey, can we motion for that to be struck from the record, please? Yes. Okay. Don't worry, Keith. But so I have kind of an appreciation for Southland Tales, even though it's never as good as I want it to be. But Justin Timberlake, I kind of like him in that, and I really
Hmm.
like him in this. And then I think it's been less good roles for him in more
This
recent
is
years.
my favorite of his roles. I think he's perfect for
Yeah,
this. Yeah.
he's so good, and it's like I think he's good in a lot of the interactions, and like this whole scene where we meet him, and it's like Dakota Johnson in it, who
Hmm.
now has. I mean, she was in those 50 Shades movies, but now she's in like a ton of movies. I mean, I think she was in like 3 movies this year.
Yeah. The Madam Web, I think, was
Materialist, and then
mostly
she's got that
terrible.
Splitsville movie coming out,
Hmm.
which I want to see that too. Um, but we basically get the intro to him, and she's on Facebook, and that's how he finds out about it, and he ends up getting a dinner meeting. In the movie, it's Christy somehow is connected to him, and they set up the dinner. And Eduardo hates him. Mark is definitely like impressed with him. It's a lot of stories about how great he is and everything. But look, I think one of the things that works for this is he does have experience. I mean, yeah, he kind of like flamed out, but he's been with like multiple companies at this point. He's worked with venture capitalists. Like he does have real connections. So even though he like is a little bit of a showman, he
Hmm.
does have real experience, which these guys don't. like,
Yeah.
like when they're trying to do their own selling the ads, it's like including to Aaron Sorkin in one of the scenes. I mean, it's just a complete goof. Now, partially because Mark doesn't want to sell ads, but like Eduardo obviously doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't even know what they have really or like how to
Hmm.
market it. But
Yeah.
to be fair to everyone, no one knew what they had. Like,
Yeah.
not the president of Harvard, not the Winklevoss's lawyer, not the people that could have bought ads for Facebook and didn't. Like, none of these
Hmm.
people know what this is going to turn into.
Yeah. It's also interesting during the scene where Parker is he's trying to sell them on like he's like what's not cool is like $1 million is cool, but you know what's really cool, $1 billion or
Yeah.
something like that. When now I think the company is valued like way more than that.
Oh
Even
yeah.
it's like hundreds of billions of
Sure,
dollars, I
sure.
think.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Meta is actually the parent company at this point, and yeah, I mean, it's like completely changed into something that's just so huge and a massive part
mhm.
of just commercial industry. I mean, it's just in a big part of everyone's lives. I mean, it really is. It's
Yeah.
just the way it is at this point. But yeah, you're right. That line, because he's going on and on in this meeting, it's mostly talking about him. But Mark's eating it up. Eduardo's like rolling his eyes. But you also have to keep in mind that like out of the people involved, Eduardo would be the one being replaced by him, because like
Yeah.
Eduardo's supposed to handle the business
Yeah.
side of it, and Sean has like so much more experience than him um, out in the world. So, but yeah, that part, that line in the trailer, that was always in the trailer that played on TV leading up to it, where it's Justin Timberlake saying, "$1 million isn't cool. You know what's cool? $1 billion." Now, when you actually see the movie, it's cut. He doesn't say $1 billion. It cuts to the deposition, and it's Eduardo saying $1 billion. That
Yeah.
shut everybody
Hmm.
up. But I always remember that from the trailer that you get the full line from
Hmm.
Timberlake in the trailer. And I do like this part when Eduardo was like, he left, but not before giving his biggest contribution to the company. And it cuts back as drop just Facebook. It's
Yeah.
cleaner.
The way he says it and walks away is very smarmy. I kind of hate it, but
Yeah. Oh, it's an exit. It's effective.
yeah. But as you said, like to like I guess to the movie's credit, like even though it is mostly from Eduardo's perspective, you have to give it to him. Like that was a good point, and also the idea of like not using ads so early and keeping it quote unquote cool.
Yeah,
Because I feel like that, like if that actually happened, like if they did start using ads earlier on, it could have killed it. Like
definitely.
earlier on, Facebook was cool, and it's decidedly not cool now. But early on, I think ads might have actually hurt
Yeah.
it.
Well, that's basically what happened to MySpace. I mean, I'm sure it's other things too, but I do remember MySpace getting like all like kind of spammed up and
Hmm.
being just like, I mean, it happens to a lot of these platforms. I mean, once you let the ads get in, it's like it can just become a mess. But I didn't hold up my social network Blu-ray. Do you own a copy of this?
Yeah, I
I
have
think.
this cool like slipcover version. Mine's kind of there was a sticker on it that got ripped off at some point, but it's cool. I like it says you don't get to 500 million friends
Yeah.
without making a few
So I
enemies.
have that underneath. So I have a kind of a not cool slip situation, but I've been keeping it. You see this? How it like is like that? Like
Yeah.
I don't like this. It like it's open at the bottom, but I have kept this the whole time for some reason. I guess just because I like this movie so much. But yeah, underneath it does have that same thing. It's just sort of like a black on black. You don't
Yeah.
get to 500 million friends without making a few enemies, like you said. Um, I would
Kind of cool
definitely.
packaging for just like a studio release though.
Yeah, is
Um,
yours a Blu-ray or a 4K?
I think it's Blu-ray. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Blu-ray.
Yeah, I have a Blu-ray as well. This is one that I would upgrade to 4K at some point, just because I love the
Yeah, the
much.
cinematography is great in this.
Absolutely, it looks so crisp. Like it
Hmm.
just looks so sharp. And I mean, it's I know this is probably controversial to some people, but it's probably my favorite David Fincher movie overall too. And I like a lot of his movies. That's just I love this movie.
He's one of those directors for me where it's like I just have recency bias. Like whichever movie of his that I've watched the most recently, I'll think to myself, "Oh, this is his best movie,"
Yeah,
or "Oh, this is my favorite of his." Like I'm
fair
sure in
enough.
6 months when I rewatch Seven or something, I'll be like,
Yeah,
"Oh, Seven's my favorite." But
that
yeah,
is
right
that.
now,
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too. I also have come to love Zodiac. That was one that I like. It took a while for
hmm
me, but now I love it.
hmm
Um, but he has movies that I still have never watched. Like I still haven't watched Mank.
oh, I watched that. It was all right.
Yeah,
Not my favorite, but
yeah.
yeah.
Um. So anyway, now that Sean is in the mix, they're gonna make sure he's gonna make sure he gets himself on this thing. He's like, I know that there's a ton of money to be made here, and I can influence at least Mark. Um, and he convinces Mark to move out to Palo Alto for the summer, and you know try to work from out there, and I guess get attention. I don't really know what the full pitch about moving to California is, but it's all happening out there. California, it's great.
Hmm.
Eduardo stays in New York to try to sell ads. Uh, and again, to people that just don't know even what this is, Eduardo probably doesn't know how to market what it is. The most probably like thing about this movie that's bothers me, the nitpick or whatever, I feel strongly that there's a reason for it, but I still think it's wild. Um, when they're at the house in Palo Alto partying or whatever, and they're doing the zip line off the brick chimney into the pool and it breaks, and then they hear somebody at the door, and Mark goes to get it, and it's Sean Parker and some girl, and Sean is like, "Hey, this girl, that I'm hanging out with or whatever, she lives across the street, and we heard the chimney fall over or whatever," and it's like, what?
Yeah, he's so obviously just trying to weasel his way in there, but
Yeah, right. Like that's the thing. I mean, I think what you're supposed to take away from it is like he's been keeping up with Mark, which is kind of weird that he would know like
a
the
little
house
creepy.
that he's staying in, right? Like
Yeah,
that's pretty wild. But I think
yeah,
that's the way you're supposed to take it because that would be the coincidence of coincidences. I mean, this is so
yeah.
unbelievable. But
No,
also like one thing we do know about Mark Zuckerberg, the character in this movie, is that he's smart. He's not an idiot. Like it seems crazy that he wouldn't be like, okay, this is obviously bullshit, and you're just trying
Yeah.
to like sneak
I
your way in. But he is he. The flip side is he is enamored with Sean. He
Yeah.
thinks
I was
Sean
gonna
is
say, I
cool.
think he probably sniffs that out. He probably realizes he's not dumb, but he's just infatuated with him. And that's like an interesting thing about his character too, is like he just wants to be liked by all these people, and Parker is one of those people that kind of reciprocates that in a way, I guess.
Definitely, yeah, and I think he aspires to be like Sean. Like
Hmm.
Sean is the cool nerd.
Yeah.
Like
I think shortly after this is when they go through the sequence of going to meetings and stuff too. And that's another fun fact about like truth versus fact, whatever. Something that actually happened was he talked Zuckerberg into going to some meeting with some VC that,
Manningham.
yeah. And he went there, like showed up 20 minutes late in like his FU flip-flops and
Yeah.
his robe or whatever, and I don't know. But
Yes, and they get more money invested. So that's actually like the second investor. But before the first they're gonna get him set up with Peter Thiel, who's like, one of the wealthiest people probably in the world. But and he does the initial investment in Facebook. But before they do that, there's this scene where you know, Mark asked Sean to live with them in the house because, he is being portrayed like he's kind of flamed out of everything and he doesn't have any money. So, you know, I don't know how he's doing all these things, how he's going to clubs and like buying all these drinks if he's really broke, but we don't really know what the full story is with him. But Mark asks Sean or says, hey, you can come live with us for the summer. But I enjoy that whole sequence when they're out in the club, and I think Justin Timberlake is really strong in this when he's telling these stories, like over the music, over drinks. When he's like, he does that whole thing, tells the whole story about Victoria's Secret and the guy
hmm.
who owned it, opened it, and sold it for whatever $4 million, and then it ends up being sold for so much more. I don't know, like 300 million or something, and he jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's like, oh,
Hmm.
like but I guess my takeaway from that, it's just like, you know what, $4 million is enough. Like,
Yeah.
just shut yourself off from the rest of that stuff and never know. Like, I mean, it's a bummer how much people get carried away with like the obsession with unrelenting wealth. And
Yeah,
that's
it's kind of
it is
nuts.
one of the yeah. I mean, it's one of the bummers of this movie. I mean, but it is a big thing out there. But yeah, I think Timberlake is great in this scene. He tells the story about the girl that he liked in high school and why he created Napster or whatever. And but this is where it takes back Mark to the Erica, the girl element of it all, because he's like, "Do you ever think about that girl?" And he's like, "No." He's doing things like, "But not this time. This is our time." Like, it's very it's very pumping Mark up, and he's just under the Sean spell, who's also like whatever his dates a Victoria's Secret model, which inspires that story.
Hmm.
Um, so we kind of check back in with the Winklevoss twins, and they've lost a race, in I don't know, somewhere over in Europe, and they find out that Facebook has made it to Europe, and now finally, the brother that was not interested in suing is finally like, all right, let's do it. Let's gut the nerd. And so that's where their lawsuit starts. Like I said, Peter Thiel makes that initial investment in Facebook, and they're like, guys, who's Eduardo Saverin? Because he's not around while this stuff is starting to take off, and things are happening. Eduardo comes out to California. Mark is really like disconnecting from him at this point, and Eduardo feels like he needs to do something to get Mark's attention, so he does cut off the account that's being used to pay to support the site, essentially. And we don't really see the ramifications of that other than Mark gets really mad. And now,
Hmm.
Eduardo had signed an initial set of papers with Peter Thiel's investment group, showing him to have 34% of the company. And he thinks he understands everything that's being said, but there's pieces to it that if more investors come into place, they could change the amount of shares. And yeah, the whole stunt that you talked about is where the next big investment comes from. Mark calls Eduardo. He's fighting with Christy. She's lighting his clothes on fire. Like, you know, not unlike many uh, relationship outings I've had in my life. But um, Mark is like, dude, why did you do that? The site can never go down. Like, he's really mad. And Eduardo's like, I'm sorry. I need to get your attention. And then Mark's like, all right, you got to get back out here. And, things are happening and you just need to be here. So Eduardo gets back on a plane, comes back out, sees the same lawyer dude is going to sign more papers. But basically, the new set of documents is saying, hey, your shares are being diluted from 34% to 0.03%, causing Eduardo to flip out.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the best, definitely Andrew Garfield moments of the film, where he's
Yeah.
like angrily leaving the office and walking towards Mark. Mark,
Mm-hmm.
Mark! Like, just
Yeah, he picks the laptop up and smashes it.
yeah, which and it's an intense moment in a movie that doesn't have a ton of like, you know, action in it other than rowing crew. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he slams the laptop. Uh, Sean is sitting right there, who's being a complete prick to
Yeah.
Eduardo and being like, hey, I can't remember the line that inspires it, but that's where he's like, sorry, my Prada's at the dry cleaner along with my hoodie and my fuck you flip flops. And you know the he's doing the whole thing. They reference back to the chicken story that he told earlier that I'm not even going to get into. But
Mm-hmm.
Sean's having little quips. Oh, what about the chicken? No, seriously, I need to hear about the chicken. And Eduardo, the thing that ends the conversation is him being like, "This is going to be like I'm not a part of Facebook," and Sean's like, "It's not like that. You're not a part of Facebook." And
Is that
Eduardo,
when he cocks his hand back like he's gonna punch him and makes him flinch?
it's just before that. The thing
Mhm.
that ends this part of it is Eduardo's like, "My name's on the masthead," and Sean goes, "Check again." So they've
Yeah.
removed him from really having any part of the company. And the thing that you don't see in the movie, but is like revealed at this point, is that Mark let all this stuff happen, and
Yeah.
was an active participant in bringing him into an ambush. Like that's the shitty part of the friend. Like
Yeah.
he didn't have a conversation with him of, "Hey man, I'm sorry. I know we had this original agreement, but we really have moved things forward without you. You're just not really part of the company anymore. Yes, I'm screwing you over, but like I'm
Yeah.
being forthright with that." It was all like just no communication about it, and he did
Yeah.
kind of set Eduardo up. And then yeah,
Yeah, one of the
so
powerful moments for me, at least, was like I think it's around this part when they're cutting back to the depositions and stuff. And at one point, Mark says he's actually defending Eduardo for something, and he's like, well, he was like my best friend, and then it pans over, and you look at the chair, and the chair is empty because he's
yeah.
not there supporting him.
Yeah,
But
that's the heaviness of it all, right? I mean, the lost relationships, and that's ultimately what again the Mark Zuckerberg of this movie. I mean, yes, he gets it all, but at what expense? And it's
yeah,
it's the real human relationships that are lost in this.
hmm
And yeah, you hit on it, but the scene ends with um what inspires the cocking the hand up is Sean writes a check for like whatever the initial investment about or
then
whatever.
yeah, the 18,000 or
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah, and he's just gonna give him that money or whatever. But he's being a dick. He's just being a dick.
hmm
And uh, Eduardo cocks his hand back like he's gonna punch him, and Sean Parker's like ducks down, and
Yeah.
it is funny. Like Eduardo's like, "Oh, I like standing next to you, Sean. It makes me feel tough or whatever. It makes me look tough." Because the whole thing about this Sean Parker character is, and we see it more in the next sequence with him, but he's the rock star nerd. Like he is like the cool kid, but at his core, he's a nerd, and it's like
Yeah.
you know,
He's just weaselly.
yeah. But and he was afraid of getting hit, and he ends up going to party with interns. He's definitely like older than them, and they're doing cocaine, and the cops show up at the party, and he's like in this manic state. I mean, Facebook has just gotten a million viewers or whatever, and they're partying for that. And he's just in this manic state talking about it's the thing for the intro, like, we lived on farms and then we lived in cities and now we're going to live on the internet. And he's like loving it. And even though it's like that's like the most depressing thing we could ever hear as
Hmm.
an audience, he's like eating it up. And the cops come in. Like my favorite, even more of a reveal about him being a nerd, which is obviously like this is just put in for the movie, but it's so funny when the cops come in and they're searching him. They see like cocaine on his hands and they tell him to empty his pockets, and they're like, "What's that?" And he's like, "My EpiPen." And they're like, "What's that?" And he's like, "My inhaler." Like it's like a nerd toolkit. And it's just funny, but he gets arrested. You know, one of the other things that they introduce about him is he has all these like conspiracy theories about like these guys that screwed him over or whatever,
Mhm.
and he's like still bringing that stuff up to Mark. And this is finally when Mark gets wise and it's just like, Sean, go home. I'll figure out what to do. And I guess it's supposed to be like Mark's like growing up part where he's really going to take control of everything and not have somebody like Sean, you know, calling
Mhm.
shots, or even Eduardo. Like now Mark is there at the top by himself, isolated. Sean goes away, keeps his ownership stake in the company, which, by the way, you know, when you're talking about multi-billion dollars, 5% is still a pretty healthy amount to have.
Yeah.
By the way, I would take the 0.03%.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be worth millions
Yeah,
at least now.
it's a healthy number, whatever it is. And
Hmm.
ultimately, both court cases are settled. Uh, one, I didn't write it down. I think I don't know, 60 million to the Winklevoss crew, and then an undisclosed amount to Eduardo. And it's just a lot of money. And they tell Mark, "Hey, you're not going to win. Like you came off as a dismissive dick. The
Hmm.
details are very murky. Like I mean, you don't look good in this story, so we're just going to come up with a settlement." And that's what they do. And they say to him, I mean, ultimately for you, it's a speeding ticket, which it is because we're talking multi billions of dollars, and he paid millions in one sense, and we don't know how much in the other, but like we know that a ton of money was made after the fact and continues to be made. But
Hmm.
the end of this movie, just brilliant. Mark left alone in the office, pulls up Erica Albright, sends her a
Hmm.
friend request, and then just sits there by himself, clicking refresh, waiting to see if she'll accept it, implying
Yeah.
that this thing that drove it, he's now just sitting here by himself, still just trying to get her attention.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Rashida Jones character? She's not like a major role in it, but I feel like she helps wrap the story up at the end. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I guess her key line. I mean, she's good. I mean, Rashida Jones is good. It's sort of a I don't know. I mean, it's sort of a forgettable role. It's she makes it memorable because it's someone that you know that's in it. I guess the key piece of dialogue is when she's leaving and she's like, "You're not an asshole, Mark. You're just trying
you're
so
just
hard to
trying
be
to
one."
be. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is
Yeah.
like saying like, "Why do you want to be in these clubs? Why do you want to like row crew? Like these people suck.
Yeah.
Like just be like a a natural person who values relationships. Like this is all the stuff that they're not saying, but this is like what it
Yeah.
really is. Like just value your relationships. Try to put good energy into the world. Like
Mhm.
what is so great about being these people that are like so shut off from everything else? And it's like you're trying to be like them even though you're not at your core like that. And I think that goes back to that opening scene when he's like he's not really this dick, but he's so focused on trying to be like that because he's
He's trying so hard to be cool that it's just
yeah,
backfiring on him.
that's right. And yeah, I mean that's the Social Network. I think there's probably even more you could mine out of this. I think it's a movie that keeps on giving and is probably for me one of the most important movies of the last 25 years. I mean, it's just so telling of where we were heading, where we already were at the time, and where we were heading. And I feel like it only goes further from here, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm
And
pretty excited to see what happens with the sequel. We definitely glazed over a good amount of the movie, but
sure.
we're trying to keep the runtime of the show down a little bit. And we have another movie to talk about as
Yeah.
well. Um, but yeah, I mean, all timer, one of the best of the decade for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. Okay. Well, that's Social Network.
all right, Matt, we're pulling a fast one on this episode and combining our in the shrink wrap slash blind buy. I guess this is a blind buy for both of us, right?
Yeah. And homework for both of us.
Right. Yeah. So we're combining it. We're both gonna just talk about the same movie. Barry Lyndon is what we're talking about. Um,
I
so
humbly have the Blu-ray. Keith ostentatiously has the 4K digipack.
yeah, I'm not a fan of the digipacks
It looks
either,
nice
but
though.
yeah, I feel like this is just one of those movies like the cinematography gets talked about a lot, and it is impressive, but I guess I wasn't that blown away by it.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
kind of with you, but the Blu-ray did look good. I bought the Blu-ray a while ago. I don't even remember how long ago I bought it, but I've been sitting on this one for a while, definitely years. And then, Criterion's slowly been upgrading stuff to 4K, and I've actually been tricked into buying some of it on 4K when I already own it. But I just with this one, I'm like, I haven't even taken the Blu-ray out of the shrink wrap yet. I'm not upgrading to 4K. Uh,
yeah, I kind of wish I would have just got the Blu-ray now after seeing the movie because yeah, I feel like specifically like all the scenes with the candlelit stuff was
yeah,
supposed to be like knock your socks off, amazing looking. Not the movie doesn't look bad, but
I
obviously it doesn't look bad. But I just
yeah.
wasn't as blown away, and I probably would be okay with the Blu-ray. And I like the plastic cases more.
Yeah, I thought stuff mostly looked good. I did think some of the look was kind of soft, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that was like somewhat intentional. I know I did a minimal amount of research on this one too, but one interesting thing is Kubrick decided to do all the exterior shots. Everything that's outside is just done with natural light. So they didn't use any. Normally they'll use like big diffusion things. Like if you've ever seen like behind the scenes footage or whatever,
Yeah.
you'll see these like massive like bounce pads and stuff where they're like kind of shaping the light and making stuff that's shot outdoors look a lot better. But I don't know. For whatever reason, they opted to do that, and it's actually a fun fact. It's kind of a myth. Like I think some people believe that the entire movie was shot that way, but
Hmm.
in my research, I found that a lot of the interior shots did actually use some lights, mostly shooting big, massive lights through windows with this like diffusion material on the outside of the windows, which does give this like weird, soft, glowy effect that you're probably referring to. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so technically, it's impressive, but I don't know why I just wasn't that blown away with like the
Yeah.
visual aesthetic and look of it.
No, I'm kind of with you. I thought the look was good, although I mean I don't have as much of a like critical eye for that thing. I mean, sometimes I'm just like, wow, this looks really good or looks really sharp or like surprisingly sharp. And there I did feel that way at times during this movie, but it definitely wasn't one of the like I mean, it's not like a PTA like Phantom Thread or something where every scene I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, this looks like the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Now
It's just
look,
one of those things that people say that people always bring it up about this movie, and I don't know why.
well,
Maybe it was just overhyped.
I mean, one of the things that is perplexing about this movie, I mean, it's a 4.4 on Letterboxd. Now, I mean, look, for both of us, it's our first time watching it. I think with a lot of his work, it probably takes multiple viewings. I definitely like the story stuff was resonating with me, and I get why people are into that. But I mean, this is so Stanley Kubrick, right? I mean, we have 2001: A Space Odyssey, we have The Shining, A Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket, even Doctor Strangelove. I mean, there's stuff I'm probably missing, but like all these movies that are Eyes Wide Shut, of course, like stuff that are kind of like considered like undeniable masterpieces. But then like this one gets like a lot of like there's like this random like like force out there and group of people that I feel like push for this as like his best movie even like maybe I'm getting carried away, but I do feel like there's this contingent of really hardcore Barry Lyndon supporters. And it's got that, like I said, it's 4.4 on Letterboxd. I mean, that's a high rating. Like,
Mhm.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
5-star ratings for it. And I was trying to think of like, is there another director that I can think of that like has all of these like main hits that seem like everybody agrees is great, and then there's this contingent that like say like, well, yeah, but this one is like undeniably the best, and it's kind of like an oddball one. And I was like, the only thing I can think of is like Paul Thomas Anderson. Like all of his movies are that.
Yeah.
Well, there's like Boogie Night. He has like Paul Thomas Anderson has like 5 Barry Lyndons. There's like
Yeah.
Boogie Nights and There Will Be Blood, and the ones that were definitely like everyone agrees are like whatever. And then like the Master and Inherent Vice and some of those other ones I feel like are all in sort of the Barry Lyndon category, where it's like kind of a
Yeah.
5-star movie, Phantom Thread, but like you have it's niche still and requires like a specific contingent of
Yeah.
people to get come together and be like, yes, this is actually a masterpiece.
I feel like part of that, or part of why maybe it's like a little bit underseen, but like the people that have seen it, or some like a certain sect of people that have seen it, love it, is because just like the kind of movie it is. It's like a very slow paced, like historical drama kind
Yeah.
of, which I don't know. I feel like people of our generation would probably think it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I was actually I know I've seen that kind of thrown out there before, like boring as like a descriptor for it. Now it is 185 minutes, so it's
yeah,
a journey. I never really felt bored during it though. Like whatever's going on with the characters is always like interesting.
yeah.
And
Yeah, I liked. I'll just say I liked the first half before the intermission
yeah,
more. So like before the intermission, I feel like Barry Lyndon is like he's like a much more likable character. He's like this guy who he has a lot of ambition to like become successful and stuff, but like a lot of bad shit keeps happening to him. Like
yeah,
he gets sent off on this journey basically. He gets like banished away or whatever. Or he after this duel where you find out that he kind of gets set up and he thinks that he killed somebody but he doesn't, so he's kind of like on the run. But anyways, like he runs into these guys who steal all his money, so then he's like forced into joining the military. uh and he I guess overall he doesn't really have much character to him. He's kind of like bland, I guess.
well,
I don't know.
he's got a social network thing going on where he's like trying to he wants to be the cool like respected dude, and he's
Hmm.
just not. Now the big thing with him is like he's really trying to control his own destiny at all times, and he's just never successfully doing that. Like
Yeah.
one of the big parts, I mean, in early on in the movie, the half that in the half that Keith really likes, it's heavily about the fact that he's in love with his cousin.
Yeah.
Um, and but like the whole thing where he's in this duel with this guy that's also vying for her love and attention, and that like he thinks he killed that guy, and then he finds out later
Yeah.
after the fact that it was like all a setup just to get him to leave.
It's actually hilarious.
Yeah,
A lot
totally
of this,
agree.
I was surprised at how much I was laughing throughout the movie, though, or at least the first
Yeah,
half. The
yeah,
second half gets a little more grim, but
definitely. Yeah, no, I am with you on that. I was laughing a lot in the first half. There was a part of it that was kind of reminding me of Game of Thrones, but a very specific element of Game of Thrones. Like one of the things that
Mhm.
I liked about the show Game of Thrones that was like subtle, not necessarily like in your face all the time, but like they would have these random like just side character like scenes where like two soldiers from like the Lannister army or whatever would be like talking, and they're just like regular dudes just like talking shit or whatever, and you're like, oh, that's kind of
Mhm.
funny because like you're used to Lord of the Rings or something where all of the nameless soldiers are just like, men of honor or whatever. And then you're like,
Yeah,
oh, it's actually just two idiots.
yeah.
And
He feels like maybe he's one of those idiots.
yeah, yeah. And like most of the characters that surround him are too.
Uh-huh.
Now, Lindsay only watched a part of this with me or came in the room, but she made a comment, and I think it bears mentioning because I think it's a fair point. She was not really buying Ryan O'Neal as his character. She's like, he's too good looking. She's like, Ryan O'Neal is too good looking to be this guy.
Also, he looks too old. Like I think in the beginning he's supposed to be like a teenager or something. Like they keep referring to him as a boy or something, but like
Yeah,
he's a grown man.
you're in that scene. You're like, you keep referring to him as boy, and he's clearly a full blown man.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but I think I do get why it's love though. Like I did walk away from it with an appreciation for it. Like
Yeah.
I'm not
I'm
ready to say like, let me be very clear with people. I don't like it more than The Shining. I don't like it more than 2001: A Space Odyssey. I don't like it more than A Clockwork Orange. I mean,
yeah.
but
I'm with you.
I am intrigued by it. You know.
Yeah. I like this movie, but I don't know how often I'm gonna revisit it.
Now,
It's long. I could see myself rewatching the first half and then shutting it
yeah.
off after that.
Now, to be fair, I may rewatch this before I rewatch A Clockwork Orange, just because A Clockwork Orange is kind of a tough watch. I feel like
Yeah.
um, it's just tough for me to watch. Like I'm never really in the mood for Clockwork Orange. I don't like the home invasion sequence stuff,
Oh yeah, I hate that. Yeah.
so I kind of just like never want to put it on. And I don't really watch Full Metal Jacket either.
I can rewatch Full Metal Jacket. It's been a while, but
I like it and appreciate it, but I definitely like I love The Shining. I love Eyes Wide Shut, and I'm very high on 2001: A Space Odyssey. But Barry Lyndon, not quite there, but I liked it.
yeah, I'm with you. It's like I guess just for like the technical aspects of it, I guess I would still say it's like a 4-star.
Yeah,
I think that's what I gave it.
I
Four
gave it 4
stars.
stars too, and I think that's
Yeah,
a fair first time rating. And listen,
yeah,
I would say the door is open for me to trend upwards on it. Okay, the door's open.
yeah.
I mean, I'm probably not going to walk through that door in the next couple of years, but hey, listen, if I live a long time, who knows? By the end of my run, Barry Lyndon could be a 5-star movie. That door is open.
Yeah, I think when we were talking about like the schedule or whatever, I kind of floated the idea of doing like a Kubrick ranking at some point, which I think would be fun. I don't know your thoughts on that.
No, yeah. Were you talking about like someday in the future or now?
Yeah, someday in the future, not right now, no.
Yeah, I'd have to think about it, but yeah. And
Yeah.
there's actually some of his movies that I still would like to watch that I haven't.
Yeah.
So
I don't think I've ever seen it. What is it? Does he have one called Lolita or
yeah,
something like
I
that?
also haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that one.
Something to
And it's been
aspire
a
to.
really long time since I've seen Doctor Strangelove too.
Yeah. So we have some work to do before we do that. But yes, definitely something we can do on the show.
But yeah. Okay, does that do it for Barry Lyndon?
I think so. I think we can wrap this.
Like it, don't love it.
Yeah,
but-
there you go. Fair enough.
Okay, all right, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music, please leave us a rating and review. I did look at, I think after I mentioned that in one of our last episodes, we got a few more ratings at least, no new reviews, but
Oh.
I don't know. Just remind the people if you're new here, and also check us out on YouTube, High Volume Video. If you're only listening to the audio version, we put it out on video form too.
Yeah, so you can enjoy the lively sight of Keith rocking sunglasses at night.
Yeah, my cool FU outfit. Today.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll catch you in the next episode.
Return to VideoTech.